Hello, welcome.
Hello.
Right, I better undeafen on here. There we go. Hello.
Hello.
Welcome.
Hello.
Welcome
Yo,
to
yo, yo, yo. What's up, what's up?
welcome
Yeah.
to the Lucky Hit podcast number 99.
Ooh.
Yes, please.
On
Everyone-
the
Everyone deserves
Oh,
a
yeah.
99 flake.
yeah, this is
Right.
the 99 Flake podcast. So yeah, it's the 1st of March 2021. I know it's been a little while since we've done one of these, but we've all been busy with all kinds of stuff. So yeah, we've managed to finally. Also, there hasn't been a lot of news until recently, so like there hasn't been as much to talk about. But this week has been stacked, so we got a lot to talk about this week. So yeah, I guess we shall introduce ourselves. I'm AnimatedAF.
I'm Cherry Terrier.
I'm Murry Curry.
I'm HunkThunder.
And I'm Elk, and this episode of the Lucky Hit podcast is sponsored by Private Internet Access, my personal VPN of choice. also because NordVPN and ExpressVPN didn't want to pay us, so to hell with them. But
And Raid
Private
Shadow
Internet Access is
Legends.
great.
This is also sponsored by Tap Water.
And Raid Shadow Legends, probably.
And Manscaped.
Yeah, and
Are you a gay?
Squarespace. We just have
You
we're in everyone's pockets now.
You
And
love
don't forget about
RPGs
Skillshare.
that have hundreds
the one.
of champions and nary a hint of anime in sight, then you should download Raid Shadow Legends. They even made a champion based off of me, Elk. You can get them for free when you enter the code SHUTUPELK.
The new hero, Lewis. Anyway.
On
Right.
with the show.
Yeah.
Oh.
On with this thing. Hey there, Chris Media Lab. Welcome
Mhm.
to the live chat. Yeah. So I guess we shall start this thing how we always start this thing with what we've been playing. I don't know who wants to go first.
Yeah,
I've got it.
yeah. I'll keep mine short and sweet because news.
I guess.
Yeah, I've of course been playing. Just had a bit of water down the throat. Been playing a lot of Animal Crossing, and today is the day that we finally get Mario 35th anniversary bits and pieces in Animal Crossing.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I remember when they showed that off, and I loved that character that was dressed up as Wario, just like in the corner scheming.
Yep.
Get him before we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, get 'em
Yep.
before they murder Mario at the end of the month.
30 days to go.
Yeah, doing a proper Logan's run on him, aren't they?
Yeah.
It's about time.
The record will be straight.
He's just turned. He's like 30 something, so he's got to be like
Terminated.
done away with.
Yeah. But only some of him. Only some of him. Only
And
certain aspects of his psyche will be terminated.
Mm.
Your old Super Mario Brothers cartridge will self-destruct.
So, yeah, you've been playing Animal
Yep.
Crossing, and
Yep. And also another Super Mario game, Super Mario 3D World.
Mhm.
ah,
Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
I've only got the Switch version.
you got
And
it now. Sweet.
Yeah,
Have you tried the Bowser's Fury yet?
I have not. I'm waiting for
Ah.
a opportunity to stream it because I know it's a short,
That looks so
like 4-hour thing.
It
So
looks amazing. I must
Yeah.
admit, I'm
Yeah.
sold on that collection with that game for that alone, because it looks like the future of Mario games, just like a teaser of what the next big game could be.
mhm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's the new hotness, isn't it?
It,
That's gonna that's a good glimpse into the future.
I think
for
it
Mario.
is. It does. Everything I've seen about it gives me that impression that that's them experimenting to see what an open world Mario could be like.
Yeah.
This is assuming Mario doesn't cease to be in April.
Yeah, exactly. He's just not going to exist after that point. It was like, oh, he had 35 years. That'll do.
Yeah,
we'll pack it in.
Long run. He had a good run.
Yeah.
It'll be Alex Kidd's turn now.
Yeah,
He's been
35
waiting in
years
the
of Alex
shadows.
Kidd. I mean, he has got a game coming out this year, so maybe it will come out on April 1st, just as a surprise. And
Hey,
yeah, I
published
guess
by Nintendo.
What are the odds? So yeah, that's my basically only 2 games I've been playing over the last Don't know how long.
I did
but,
hear they
yeah.
actually made some changes to the base 3D World game as well, including like the walk speed was faster or something like that.
There's that, and obviously the touch screen bits and pieces from the Wii U version.
Yes.
It sort of works and sort of doesn't work.
Yeah,
it
I've
doesn't
heard
work.
some things about this.
Oh, that's right. There were parts in the Wii U game where you needed to use the microphone, right?
Oh
On
yeah.
the Wii U gamepad.
Yeah, look
Mhm.
at
I
the,
forgot
look
that
at the
thing
Wii
had
U
a
gamepad
microphone.
screen. Look at it.
I forgot that thing had a microphone
Yeah.
until just now.
In fact, when I got the Switch first time round, the first thing I thought, where's the camera and where's the microphone for it? But
Yeah.
yeah.
You know, I often even forget the Switch actually has a touch screen on it.
Oh, I don't, because I play Taiko on it so much.
Because aside from it being a tablet, it's like the complete antithesis of the Wii U, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's sort of like everything condensed down to one screen, and yeah, the playing with the Pro controller on Super Mario 3D World with the touchscreen bits, you actually had to press the ZR button to basically bring up a hand, and obviously with the gyro controls, you can sort of point to.
Oh, it's gyro. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was worried it was just going to be like you have to move the right analog stick around slowly and touch things.
No.
No.
Well,
that's not too bad, I suppose. I guess that's a option, and maybe they should have put right stick as an option for people that can't do gyro. But yeah, that's what I've been hearing, like people complaining about. But Nintendo are not exactly known for letting people have options
or like accessibility.
Yeah, accessibility isn't really their strong point at the moment. They really need to up their game with that.
But yeah, that's basically 3D World in a nutshell.
The same great game, just at a high resolution and with that amazing extra, like sort of mini game on the side.
Yeah,
and on a system that people other than just Nintendo fanboys actually have.
Yeah.
Yeah, the soundtrack is still superb as well.
Oh god, the soundtrack in 3D World is absolutely spectacular.
Superb soundtrack. They really nailed the style of music that really works for Mario with games like that and Mario Kart 8.
Yeah, big time. For everything people say about how kind of forgettable the Wii U was, I still think game-wise it was like Nintendo's peak in spots. Like they really, not all of the games they put out on the Wii U, obviously, but I feel like they really smashed it out of the park, in particular with Mario Kart.
I'm actually a huge.
People say that about the. People say that about the GameCube as well. It turns out that some of Nintendo's weakest systems, at least in terms of sales, actually have some of the most stellar games in their
history. Yeah, for sure. So is that basically all you got?
Yep.
Or
that's it for me. Yep.
Oh, okay. I guess I'll go next. I've pretty much mainly been playing. Well, I've been playing all sorts of stuff, but I'm going to focus on one game. So basically, in the last month, I got my hands on a GDEMU, which is basically an SD card solution for a Dreamcast. So basically, I had to gut out the GD-ROM drive of one of my many Dreamcasts. I have about 6 Dreamcasts. So I was like, I'll just pick one, just any. Whatever one still works really well. Gutted out the GD-ROM drive, stuck this thing in it, got the 3D printed tray thing so you can just click the SD card in and you can just play whatever you want on it, including prototypes and translation hacks and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I guess the game I'm going to talk about that I've been playing the most lately is one that I've been experimenting with translating. So there's this game on the Dreamcast that I bought a few years ago. I think I actually featured it on a Lucky Hit live stream about the Dreamcast. I think it was for like that last anniversary stream I did in 2019.
The Dreamcast says Chris.
That's the thing. That's the big difference between one, the load times are a lot better on certain games. Some games are so much quicker with an SD card, and two, you're not getting that every time it does anything, which is pleasant.
And how can you play Dreamcast without that loud grinding noise?
I mean, I have currently got 2 Dreamcasts set up next to each other, and I basically just swap the cables around because I've got one for the disc games and one for the GDEMU, because obviously I still have over 250 30 games for my Dreamcast, so they're not going anywhere at the moment. But yeah,
man, my Dreamcast broke down. Too bad. Guess I'll have to go with one of the other 5 that I own.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, the game I have been messing around with. So basically, I've just been I've been downloading games and then checking out. You can get these programs that let you extract the game, so you can actually see all the files. You can see all the what the game's made of, basically. And this one game that I bought a couple years ago called Bokumu no Tatsujin. It's kind of like a quirky life sim game, and it's basically about this guy who you just have to go do jobs. There's like 3 different jobs you can go to, and you'll bump into like these 6 different characters that basically every time you bump into them, something happens involving them, and basically there's just like all these different characters that annoy him. So there's like this Yakuza guy, there's this shop owner, there's some high school student and all this, and they all basically just get on your nerves or something. And then every time you go back home and go to bed, he has dreams where he's beating them up, and it's just like this big freaky 3D head shows up and you have to punch them in your sleep. It's really bizarre. It's a very low budget game. It came out in like 2001, so it was quite a late Japanese only Dreamcast game. It's by a developer that didn't really make a lot of games. The only other game they released on the Dreamcast was a demolition simulator called Bomberhehi. But yeah, this game, it's got like MS Paint caliber artwork in spots. Like the graphics cut off early on the side, like dodgy like cell animation sometimes where they forget to like draw the whole character on the sides, and it's got like 3D mini games as well, and the 3D is just absolutely abhorrent, like weird bloody graphics. Like it is a janky mess. Like one of the mini games is literally impossible without like save stating on an emulator or something. But yeah, there's a sort of charm to it as well. I have actually been kind of enjoying it as well. And the reason I decided to start messing around with it and actually try and translate the thing is because the entire game is almost entirely made up of just images. So there's like a certain format that Dreamcast games use that's like .pvr, and then you can just extract those into PNGs. And then but obviously I don't know any Japanese properly. Like I don't really know any Japanese, so the idea of me translating a game sounds silly. But I've basically been using, machine translation like Google Translate and stuff to get a rough idea what things are, and then I'm just sort of winging it basically. But I don't know if anyone saw my live stream from yesterday, but I feel like I've done a pretty good. I'm quite proud of what I've managed to pull off so far. Like I've managed to translate all the menus, and I even like hand drew a new logo for it, and sort of. Because there's a lot of like hand-drawn stuff in it as well, like hand-drawn text in it as well, and I've been sort of like having a bit of fun with it basically.
I've been liking the progress so far. It's looking good.
Basically I was inspired by, because I've been on the Dreamcast Junkyard Discord for the last month or so, maybe a couple months, and they've got a guy on there that has been translating games himself, and he actually showed me the ropes of how to basically. I knew how to extract the image files, but I didn't know how to compress them back to how they're supposed to be, so they're the same file size and stuff, and it doesn't crash the game if the file's too big. So yeah, he showed me the ropes for that, and yeah,
that's pretty cool.
I've actually been having a lot of fun just hacking around in Dreamcast games and seeing how they tick lately. So I guess most of my time, especially in the last week, has been spent just playing loads of this game and also just experimenting with trying to translate the thing.
Yeah, I helped you out a little bit with that.
Yeah, you did, because some of it, like, you think you've got the right word, and then it turns out it's not what you think it is.
There was one word that you thought was love, but it actually was something to do. It actually translated to receipt, as in pay slips. Yeah, which makes more sense in the context of the game. But I'm actually, the article's not out yet, but it probably will be maybe tomorrow or something. But I'm actually writing an article for the Dreamcast Junkyard, because while I was hacking around in this game, I actually found a trailer for an unreleased Dreamcast game that I don't think anyone's ever seen before. So yeah, it's like some kind of horror game. I'm not even sure what the title of the game is,
But there is vague documentation of its existence online, but no actual like videos or screenshots. And I just like you can purchase a TV in the game, and then when you get that TV, you get these 2 trailers. One of them's for their other Dreamcast game, Bomber Hehe, and then one of them's for this horror game. When I saw it, like loaded it up, I was like, "What is this?" I was like, I've never seen this game before in my life. I was like, I have no idea what this is. Have I just stumbled on something no one's seen? Because I really doubt anyone's actually played much of this game, because I don't think it's like a terribly well-known one. So yeah, I thought that was really interesting as well, that I managed to discover something that I don't think many people, if anyone, has seen outside of maybe some people that bought this back in the day, like in Japan, and played all the way through it. I don't know if anyone even did. It's like one of those games that I wouldn't be surprised, because there's quite a few of these. I wouldn't be surprised it's one of those games that probably shipped like less than 1,000 copies. That there is a surprising amount of games on the Dreamcast that just came out and barely anyone even noticed they existed, especially in Japan. Like there was a lot of late Dreamcast games that just kind of had incredibly small print runs. So it doesn't mean it's worth any money or anything. I literally paid £5 for it, but yeah. So yeah, that's what I've mostly been playing. I've just been tinkering around with Dreamcast games, and it's been quite fun.
Pretty cool. I always wondered how that process for fan translating stuff on like Dreamcast worked.
Yeah, I decided to mess around with this one because it is mostly images. There's no like programmed in text that you would have to like go into the actual code for. It's all just pictures with text on them, so you can easily just Photoshop the text into English. It's quite simple actually.
Yeah, not like Mother 3 on the GBA, which there are videos around of like the process of fan translating that, and it's messy.
Yeah, because they have to basically try and squash English text into
Japanese.
Yeah. That's the hardest part, because Japanese text takes up less space, so like you have to try and squeeze the English text in, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah. So who wants to go next?
I could, because I haven't been playing a whole lot this week.
Oh, okay.
It's been a pretty slow one for me. I've been having to do a load of other life admin stuff. So 2 games I've been playing. One I'll just talk about very briefly, because we did cover it on our last date night stream. Which
Yes. Very appropriate game considering what you've been doing lately.
It's exactly why we picked it. We're going through this eShop thinking, what do we want to play? You know, we got a bunch of stuff we got on the go all at once, really. So we're thinking, oh Christ, what are we going to do? And then we just went, oh sod it, we'll throw a new one in, because it was very thematic. It's called Moving Out.
Yeah.
And it's got that kind of Overcooked energy. In fact, it's even published by Team 17 as well. So
it's basically Overcooked, but
it's got all the same energy.
This game. This one has a demo for anyone who wants to try it out.
That's very true. Yeah. And it's really fun, really, really fun. In fact, it's if anything, I'd say it's actually harder than Overcooked, if that's even possible.
Wow.
Because it's your teamwork has to be on point, and it's kind of chaotic. I'm trying to describe it best I can in short time, really. But yeah, basically, it is what it sounds like. You're a removal firm. You're one of those firms that comes in and like does all the packing of the place. You know. Like the residents sort of leave you to it, and you just come in and. In order to do it quickly, you end up smashing the place apart. Like you jump through the windows, you chuck sofas around, and beds, and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, it's from 1 to 4 players, and you can play it quite well on single player as well. But it's one of those games that you really need to play it couch co-op.
Oh, definitely.
To get the best out of it. Yeah. It is fantastic. It really is fun. Very stressful as well. These are the kind of games that bring out the worst in me.
It's the kind of game that can ruin your relationship almost.
I was going to say we survived Overcooked, but I don't know about this one.
What was that other one you were playing before? That delivery. What was it called? Delivery.
Oh yeah, totally reliable.
That's it.
Reliable delivery service.
That's it.
Again, very much in the same vein, isn't it? Like that one's just Gang Beasts. Like I'm pretty sure it's the same like engine and company.
Maybe. I'm not sure.
If not, it's very similar. Yes, Gang Beasts, but with a kind of point where you're supposed to deliver stuff.
Potion Pack meets Gang Beasts.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that game was hilarious. Oh,
Special delivery service. Yeah, we're going to be playing more of that on the stream. But moving out was really fun. I recommend it, and we're going to be playing more of that over the next month, to be honest.
Nice.
Yeah. And the other game I've been playing, I've had a couple of quick sessions of Ghosts and Goblins Resurrection, which I'm going to be streaming tomorrow, because anyone who knows me knows I love my Ghosts and Goblins / Ghouls and Ghosts. I love that series a lot. I actually gave up a whole lot of my time. Funny enough, when I first moved into this property and we didn't have the internet, I just had the SNES Mini, the SNES Classic, whatever you call it.
Yes.
And I just sat down and I finally finished Super Ghouls and Ghosts, which is one of the hardest games I've ever had to beat. But guess what? This one's harder.
Yep, that's what I've heard. That's what I've heard.
It harder.
If you put it on like the default, I've seen the difficulty settings. Basically, the one at the top is like, oh, this is the one you want to play. This is the mode. Yeah,
it isn't.
This is the default. They're acting as if this is the true Ghouls and Ghosts experience, and then all the other ones like. It sort of goes, oh, well, it's almost like in Doom where you get like the wimp setting. And it's like, kind of.
Difficulty shaming, I hate that.
Yeah.
You're a baby.
What I think is really cute, though, is how obviously Ghouls and Ghosts, like, you get hit once, you lose your armour and you're running around in your pants. If you're on the lower difficulties, you lose a bit of your armour. So, like, your helmet falls off and then your chest plate falls off and then the leg parts fall off. I think that's really cool, actually.
I've actually been playing it on the first couple of goes. I've been playing it on the page mode, which is like the really easy one. Like you basically don't game over. Like when you lose a life, you just sort of respawn a couple of seconds later where you died.
Okay.
Unless you fall off the screen, in which case you go back to a checkpoint. But yeah, basically the idea is I'm getting a feel for it, and then I'm jumping onto at least the normal, maybe just the one up after. It was going to be tonight, but it's going to be tomorrow now, and I'm probably going to get quite angry.
How are you finding it so far?
I have to say, I was a little bit worried when I saw the art style, but it is actually gorgeous when you see it.
Yeah, I have to admit, I don't usually like when they do that sort of tweeny puppet style animation, but I think it sort of suits this game, if that makes any sense. It feels like it works. Yeah. And the art assets are so sort of sharp and detailed that it kind of helps as well.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, funny thing about
the art, most people, myself included, they were saying it looks too much like a Flash cartoon.
Yeah.
And then the other day I saw someone who said, no, this looks like Monty Python.
Oh yeah,
that totally checks out. Actually,
yeah,
and as soon as I heard that, I thought, hold up, now it makes sense. Now it makes perfect sense. This really does fit Ghosts and Goblins.
I can't believe I didn't make that. I can't believe I didn't make that connection. Actually,
I couldn't make it either. I'm really surprised that I didn't make that connection.
That film we watched the other week, Fantastic Planet.
Yeah, that had that kind of same vibe to it as well, wasn't it? It was like high detailed artwork, but they sort of just like puppet along a little bit.
Yeah. That film's weird.
Yeah, it's a French film from the 70s. Of course, it's weird.
Say no more. But yeah, basically, it's one of those things. Like when I looked at the trailers, I was concerned about the way it looked and sort of that jarring, tweeny animation. But it's one of those things where when you actually play it and you feel it, basically, that's the best way I can describe it without sounding too pompous, feeling it. I was grinning from ear to ear the whole time. I was just really enjoying it. And it's another one of those games that's done in the RE engine as well, which is really surprising.
All things, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Even the new Capcom Arcade Stadium says RE engine when you start it up.
Yeah,
that must be a heck of an engine.
Yeah, I guess that's their Unreal, I suppose. They're just treating it as their Unreal, just do everything.
Kind of, It's like Capcom's Hedgehog engine.
Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah. So the other thing I'd say about it is despite it being a Switch game, it plays like buttery smooth. It's really like I haven't noticed any performance issues at all so far. They've really optimized it well for the system. Like to the point where it's so smooth that you can actually notice when you're going from from like left to right, and you notice how you move slightly faster jumping because like you see the screen sort of panning that little bit faster when you're jumping. I loved all that kind of those touches to it. But yeah, it is obnoxiously difficult though.
Yeah, what I've seen of it is basically when you start the game, you get a choice of 2 levels, don't you? One of them's basically they're like remixed versions of the first levels from Ghouls and Ghosts and Goblins, aren't they?
I love that. Yeah, that was really cool. But I started on the top route and I was thinking, well, this isn't really cool. Ghosts and Goblins. I was feeling like this is more like Ghouls and Ghosts. And then I went back and did the first level on the bottom route, and I was like, oh, here we go, because I was really worried about missing out on that second stage. I love that little that sort of how do I describe it? That sort of medieval song that plays in the village on the second level. I love that track. Yes. And that's back. So I was happy about that when I took the second route. They should have done it the other way around, shouldn't they? The top route should have been Ghosts and Goblins, because that's supposed to be what the game is, isn't it?
I suppose.
It is Ghosts and Goblins, isn't it? It's not Ghouls and Ghosts Resurrection.
I always get confused with these.
I'm pretty sure it's meant to be Ghosts and Goblins, but
it's kind of like It's kind of like when Mega Man 9 came out, and that was a little more based off of Mega Man 2 than any of the Mega Mans that came after that.
Yeah, because you didn't have to slide all the charge shot.
You didn't have either of those.
Yeah.
I suppose they couldn't call it Mega Man 2, could they? They're not square.
They did that because Mega Man 2 is most people's favorite classic.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, obviously, yeah.
But in the case of Ghouls and Ghosts, though, I'm not really sure if people prefer Ghouls and Ghosts or Ghosts and Goblins over Ghouls and Ghosts. I keep getting confused because of the names of the 2 games.
Yeah, I wish they didn't change it. I think Ghouls and Ghosts is the more sort of popular one. It's certainly my favourite. A lot of them. My favourite is the Mega Drive one. I love that.
Ghouls and Ghosts is the second one, right? That was the one that was also on Mega Drive.
Yes.
And then because Super Ghouls and Ghosts on Super Nintendo, that was based on that game.
Yeah. That's the one that had the double jump, and but they gave you a double jump, but they took away the ability to throw your weapons in all 4 directions, which is kind of important, because it's the only way you can survive. So this game does that, where you have the one jump but the 4 weapon directions.
Cool. That's good.
Lots of extra stuff as well. Like you unlock like all the magic moves. You don't have to have the magic armor to do.
Isn't there like a skill tree that's literally a tree?
That's right. Yes, yeah. Like you collect these little. I think they're supposed to be the bugs. Yeah, they're little bugs that you collect on the level. Some of them are very hard to collect, by the way. Like they run away from you through a little wave of enemies, and you're like, no, don't do this. And like that's how you unlock like magic, and you can also unlock a skill that gives you like a slight chance of having a resurrection when you die instead of like losing a life. And there's all these kind of things that I think are going to help you survive the harder difficulties, basically. I'm probably going to be talking about it a lot more on the next podcast, because I've only just I've had like a couple of goes, and I said, right, I'm going to save the rest of my reactions for when I actually play this on stream. So at the moment, I'd say it's a really nice, really, really nice return to a series that I've really loved. I've missed for a while.
Nice.
I'd also like to see another Maximo game, because those are good as well.
Just to note, this new Ghosts and Goblins, Ghouls and Ghosts, whatever, is actually directed by the director of the original games. So
I can sort of see, because a lot of the new ideas still feel like they're just.
I didn't actually know this, but the creator of Ghouls and Ghosts was actually the guy that set up Whoopee Camp, who made the Tombi games.
Oh, okay.
And this game is actually credited to Whoopee Camp as well, so, which is
I heard of that.
Studio. Yeah,
I was surprised to see Whoopee Camp in this game.
Yeah, that'd be why, I guess. I never made that connection before, but yeah, it makes sense now.
Oh, nice. So look forward to me getting my arse handed to me on that tomorrow, and keep probably getting a wee bit angry, because I won't be playing on page difficulty, which is what I'm doing at the moment, just to get through my first playthrough. But it's a really charming return to form. The only thing I wish is that they would make a physical release. Like, they probably will down the line, but it's going to be one of those
things,
isn't it?
Who knows at this point?
I wouldn't be too happy because I do want it. You know, I want this game physically, but you know, at the moment I bought it digitally because I just wanted to jump straight in, and I'm kind of glad I did actually.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I've been playing. Sorry, I went on about that a little bit longer than I anticipated.
That's cool. No worries.
All right. I suppose I'll go next. So I did indeed play a lot of games. I played more Ninjala and Rocket League because there was some more special events going on. I played the Capcom home arcade stadium. That's actually pretty cool. But really, I'm going to talk a little more about the SNES and NES games that were added to Nintendo Switch. And I don't have a lot to say. I don't have a lot in particular to say about each one, but I'm going to say right now, my favorite of the bunch would be Fire and Ice, the one NES game. And then my second favorite would be Prehistoric Man, and then Psycho Dream, and then finally Doomsday Warrior, which is way, way low. Oh, man. I was really hoping Doomsday Warrior would play a lot better than it looked. But even for the time that it came out, that game's pretty bizarre. For context, this is a 1992 fighting game on the Super Nintendo, which I had never heard of until now. But apparently, it was made by Telenet Japan and published in North America by Renovation. Renovation.
Ah, yes.
These are the same people that made and published the Valis series on the Genesis.
Yeah.
But this game is not Valis. This is a... this game is... and I also forgot to mention, 1992 is also when Street Fighter II released on the Super Nintendo. So this game tries to be like Street Fighter II, but it goes about it in a very bizarre way. So let me talk about the controls first, all right? Now, despite the fact that the Super Nintendo controller is 6 buttons, here's what they do with the controls, all right? They give you only one button to punch. They give you only one button to kick. They make you press either L or R to block. And they make you press a button to jump. And the last button does nothing. And I have never played a fighting game like I have never, ever played a fighting game in this style that made you press a button to jump. They all have you press up.
Yeah.
Generally, yeah.
Yeah, and there's a reason for that, because that feels a lot more natural. I can hardly even get used to
when you think about it, because it's the opposite with platformers.
It is,
Yeah.
and like, and there's Super Smash Brothers, which is arguably a fighting game, and the way that works, that game
and a platformer.
Yeah,
it's also a platform, yes, and I guess you can also press up to jump in that game as well, which I tend to forget because I hate doing that, so I always turn it off when I can. But in Doomsday Warrior, you have to press the button to jump, and then to grab and throw your opponents, you have to actually go up close to them, and they'll be grabbed automatically, which is weird because I have no idea how the game logic decides who grabs who. But I'm glad to see the game re-released. I think even bad games have some significant historical value.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Yeah, but this one is super, super clunky, even compared to Ranma Half Hard Battle, which I talked about several podcasts ago, which was also a Super Nintendo game.
Yeah.
But at least that game had you press up to jump. So, at least that's one of the nice things about Nintendo Switch Online, is that there's a lot of things I don't like about it, but at least in this case, when it comes to these classic games, you don't have to pay extra for any of them. They're all there. So
if this was like Virtual Console and you had to pay money for each one of these games, you wouldn't play them.
Yeah,
basically, you wouldn't play them. But
Exactly.
the fact that it's like, oh, well, there's something new to play, and it's like you can try this game that you probably never would have even bothered with, or like even given a chance. And you never know, you might find something you like.
Right. With the old Virtual Console, everyone just bought all the popular games.
Yeah.
Your Marios, your Zeldas, your Pokemons, your Sonics, whatever. Yeah. And no one would ever pay, I think it was $8 for Doomsday Warrior if that was on was on Virtual Console. And I wouldn't blame them.
Yeah.
But you know what? It is worth a shot. And then Psycho Dream was a game funny thing is, before this update to Nintendo Switch Online, I had never heard of Psycho Dream until a week before this update, when GameSack, which is a YouTube channel, he did a video just a week before about games that were only released in Japan. And one of the games he talked about happened to be Psycho Dream.
What timing?
Yeah, really interesting timing there. And apparently Psycho Dream actually was supposed to come out in North America. It was going to be published by Renovation, just like Doomsday Warrior was. In fact, it was actually reviewed by magazines here in America. But unfortunately, Renovation went out of business before they could release Psycho Dream. So, yeah, here you get the Japanese version. This one's actually really interesting. It's a action platformer with some very psychedelic... I mean, maybe psychedelic is the wrong word, but the way this works is it's supposed to take place in a dreamlike VR game, which is interesting to think about. So there's a lot of interesting otherworldly imagery in this.
I'll check it out. I still haven't tried it yet.
Oh yeah, it's actually worth a shot. I mean, there's not much of a language barrier to this game anyway. If you know which button jumps and which button attacks, you'll survive. But you do have to figure out which of the colored gems will power you up. Because the game is nearly impossible when you start out with your basic attack. And it's only when you get the stronger attacks that cover a wider range where you'll be able to fend off enemies easily. And kind of like Gradius, when you get hit in this game, you don't die in one hit like you do in Gradius, but when you do get hit, your power goes down a level. So if you get hit enough times, you go back to your basic attack, and then you're screwed. And especially when you get to the first boss, which I've still not been able to beat yet. The dude who runs GameSack beat it. He showed more of the game in his video, but that's going to take more practice. And then Prehistoric Man's kind of a funny game. The first thing I noticed when I played that game is it uses a lot of sound effects that I actually recognize from a lot of old cartoons. So like if the dude falls into a bottomless pit, he screams like Daffy Duck. I swear it sounds just like Mel Blanc.
Wow.
And he has this screen wipe attack, which is just him screaming. And the scream is actually the infamous Tom and Jerry scream.
Oh,
wow.
Scream.
Interesting. Kind of like how one of the bosses in Streets of Rage has like Mel Blanc's laugh in it as well.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I thought that laugh sounded familiar. Now I remember it from a Looney Tunes short.
That's kind of like how Rayman 2 had like the Overtalk sound library, which had a whole bunch of like old cartoon sound effects and that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's true. I remember that. Oh, and remember when you played We Dare and you heard the Wilhelm scream?
Oh yeah.
Yep, that was in there. Here, couple interesting things about the NES game they added, Fire and Ice. One is it's actually Solomon's Key 2.
Oh.
It is.
And it came out in Europe as Solomon's Key 2, but we still get it as Fire and Ice because reasons.
I'm guessing because Fire and Ice is in TSC.
Yeah,
whereas your version of Solomon's Key 2 would be 50 hertz.
That's true, yeah. But the other thing is when you go on there, you know how they've mostly got box arts for everything. For some reason, they've just got the title screen as the image. And I think the reason is because if you look at the box art, it just has a big sticker on the front of it that says, "Warning, this cartridge contains logic puzzles that may be highly addictive." It's like, is that why they haven't used it? Because they might think, you know, oh, we can't call it addictive. I don't know.
They need to put that on like
very strange box
a
art.
majority of mobile games.
You put it on Tetris.
Yeah.
On any version of Tetris.
Yeah.
You know, if this game came out today, it would be a mobile game. Probably.
Yeah, maybe.
But it's a nice game. I really like it. In fact, most of my favorite NES games happen to be puzzle games.
Same here.
Not sure why, but
yeah,
Fire and Ice is way up there. I like it a lot better than the first Solomon's Key. That's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. The first one is quite obtuse at times. They simplified it with the second one. They basically gave you a mechanic that is quite simple to get your head around compared to the first game, which was just poke around until something happens.
I'm guessing part of that is because the first Solomon's Key was an arcade game, and Fire and Ice was made specially for the NES.
That makes sense.
So this one's designed to be played at home, unlike Solomon's Key, where there were some cases where arcade games were brought to the NES as a completely different type of game, but like Ninja Gaiden, I guess.
Yeah.
Solomon's Key was designed to be a lot more faithful to the arcade original.
Yeah.
Yeah, so those games. So now I'm going to talk about the game that I always talk about, Pumpkin Spice Offerings 2.
That's the one. I'd play that. I'll take some Pumpkin Spice Offerings.
Gotta wait till October, usually.
Yeah, that's true.
I already missed Pumpkin Spice.
Private sector organisation too.
I don't want to wait till fall for more of that. Anyways, though, right now I'm going through most of episode 6's story, because they did another one of those events where if you go through it, you get a certain item if you can get through a certain story mission by a certain date. And the items that you get for this are getting less and less interesting compared to early on when you got the Dreamcast mag and the sexy kitten emote. But but you know what? It's funny. When I first started this game last year, I wasn't even thinking about the story at all, because I don't even remember doing the story missions in Phantasy Star Online a long time ago. I did them in Phantasy Star Portable too, but I don't even remember the story in that game. This one really had me hooked from the beginning, though, so it's a good thing they did those story quests. And now episode 6 is the last story, and this one has you facing off the ultimate God damn it, I can't talk. This one sees you up against the ultimate incarnation of the profound darkness, Shiva, the goddess of destruction. She is virtually undefeatable. She basically laughs at all of Arx's best weaponry. So, for this portion of the story, you have to call upon the combined efforts of all the characters that you've met throughout episodes 1 through 5 in various ways to finally find a way to beat her. And Shiva is no joke. No joke. It's quite an epic story. To me, this feels a lot like when I was playing all the Yakuza games after Yakuza 0 came out. And then you finally get to the end of Kiryu's story in Yakuza 6, where everything just comes together.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's when it gets real. All right.
Yeah.
So much so that there is also, in fact, a new urgent quest right now, which is actually a VR simulation. This is a training simulation where, basically in the story, Shiva has taken over the mothership of Arx. The mothership is gone. It's now her fortress. So for this training simulation that you and a bunch of other players go through, it simulates what I assume the final battle is going to be like. You have to fight through waves of enemies as you infiltrate the mothership, and then you face off with Shiva herself, and she's not playing. Yep, she zips around everywhere, which really messes with the lock-on system, so it's hard to keep track of her. And her attacks cover a wide range and are incredibly damaging. She has one counter move where she completely stops you. It stops time, you're frozen in place, and then you're surrounded with swords. And after a few seconds, the swords come down on you and you're one-shotted.
Sorry.
And I actually figured out how to counteract this through a silly meme that I saw in the
Speaking of JoJo.
Yeah, I showed you guys in the Discord. It's a JoJo's Bizarre Adventure meme where it has this character in the text. They actually put Shiva's outfit and hair on him. It says, Shiva one-shotting my team with time stop counter.
So
by the way, I forgot.
I'll put it on the screen.
I forgot to mention the time stop thing completely one-shots you. If you get hit with it, you're dead.
Oh, dude.
There you go. The people know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so for those of you playing PSO2, this is what you're supposed to do, all right? You have to figure out when she's about to use that attack and then stop attacking. Just don't attack her, because...
All right.
Yeah, you'll get stopped in your tracks if you're in the middle of an attack animation. Anyway, in spite of all that, in the VR simulation at least, you will eventually beat her because you have people helping you. And then you'll get a bunch of rare items, which I'm trying to gather as many as I can to power up all my weapons. So I'll have the best weapons I can get when it finally comes time in the story to actually do battle with Shiva. And on top of that, there's also a new scratch ticket called Arx' Last Stand, where you get a bunch of new costumes, some of which are based on characters in the story, which are meant to make you look as cool as possible for the final confrontation. But besides that, I've also noticed that Arx' Last Stand actually contains a few costume pieces based on classic Phantasy Star.
Oh, I see the name on there.
Yeah, I showed you guys another screen cap, which it does show someone having. It does show someone who put on some of those items. Yeah. There's costume items, hairstyles, and weapons camos based on what's his name, Rolf and Nay from Phantasy Star 2, Rise from Phantasy Star 3, and Rika from Phantasy Star 4.
That's cool.
There's actually more characters from those games that have costumes in PSO2, but those are the only ones currently available in the global version of the game.
Okay.
Pretty cool.
Right.
Yeah, pretty cool. And I think that's about it for that game so far.
Okay. Cool.
There's only one person left.
It's me.
Right?
And to be honest, I haven't really been playing like major console games. I think the last time I did play a console game might have been when you got your EverDrive AF.
The EverDrive Pro.
Yes, and when you put some Sega CD games on it, I gave Shining Force CD a quick spin.
Yeah.
Oh man, I want to play that game so bad.
It's been
because of how much fun I've been having with Shining Force 2.
Yeah, I was mainly had that on to see how well it saves and that, because that was what put me off playing it years and years, many hot dogs ago. Because back in them days, like Sega CD emulation wasn't all that great. Like it wasn't saving properly, so
right.
I did have Shining Force CD, like an ISO of it, and I did play like sort of the beginning of it, but again it didn't save properly, and I hadn't been back to that since. But now will be a good time to like fiddle around with that.
Yeah. What's really cool about the EverDrive, the EverDrives in general, the Mega Drive ones, is when it comes to Mega CD games, because the Mega CD, it did have like a limited amount of save space on the actual console, and then if you wanted additional space you could get a cartridge that goes in the Mega Drive. That was like a RAM cart. But basically the way the EverDrive works is every single game you play it makes an individual RAM card for. So you don't even have to worry about saves, because it just has a individual. It's almost like having a memory card for every individual game, because obviously the memory cards don't take barely any space on an SD card anyway, so like
it's
size.
That's pretty cool.
It's interesting. I forgot until recently that the Mega EverDrive Pro could hold on to your Sega CD save files. So right after I found that out, I actually backed up all of my save data from my CDX, and nice. I'm very lucky because I've had that CDX for over a decade now, and it still has all of the save data that I've ever saved onto.
I'm surprised they haven't run out.
Yeah, unlike my Sega Saturn, where the battery goes out like every month or two.
Yeah. I've always found it seems to be roughly every 3 years for mine, but I don't know. Apparently you can get like rechargeable batteries now for like the Saturn and that, so that's cool. you done? Anything else you've been?
Mainly a mixture of like mobile games again.
Oh yeah.
All different types of genres, including slots games.
Are you still doing that money making thing?
Yeah, she's got me involved in that as well now. It's not bad because one of them in particular has like a radio on it, and I quite enjoy the fact that there's like a radio. You can just like put on any online radio stations, and you'll basically just slowly grind money while you're listening to them. And I actually found a retro video game station that plays loads of obscure stuff and plays loads of Amiga demo scene music and all this like really unusual stuff, and obviously a load of obvious stuff as well, but they just played loads of like they were playing like music from one of my favourite puzzle games on the Amiga called Clownomania the other day. I was like, oh my god, someone actually knows of that game. So, I thought that was really cute. But yeah, they do have this thing on these apps where the best way to grind money on them is to play games they recommend.
Yeah.
And a lot of them are just like slot machine games where you literally just press a button and things happen.
It's just like being in the Southend Seafront, isn't it?
Yeah, except in this case, you don't even have to keep pressing the button to make the slot thing spin around. You can just press hold, and it will just do it by itself, and you can just leave it idle to just go, "Hey, look, you won loads of fictional money! Great, yay!" Whatever.
One of the first ones of those games I remember playing was like a Wizard of Oz themed one time.
Oh, what you mean at the seafront?
No,
you mean
the misplay.
Oh, right, yeah. No. I'm still looking for a game that's actually engaging on these things. Like they don't. The problem I'm finding is they keep peddling the same games over and over again, and most of these games are very similar. Like they all have the same mechanics, they all have the same trappings, they all just do the same thing and just copy each other. But
do you remember that? Going into real like fruit machines now. Do you remember what was that Simpsons knockoff one?
Oh god, the one we saw at the arcade expo thing we used to go to, EAG.
I want to go back to that.
Yeah, I hope they can do that again, maybe next year at this rate.
I miss it.
Yeah, that was always that's a fun expo. If it's back on next year, I'm definitely going.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, not a lot of games on your end at the moment. Just
not quite.
Just a bunch of
a mixture.
A mixture of mobile things.
Yeah.
Just to slowly build up those PayPal vouchers.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's something to do, isn't it? Like, and you get a bit of pay out of it eventually.
While you're waiting for things to happen, like jobs.
Yeah. You can probably tell we're quite bored. I'm sitting here translating random obscure Dreamcast games and playing slot game like things just to pass the time. But yeah. So
I can't wait till lockdown's finished.
Yeah. I can't wait till we can go outside and get my hair cut.
You're gonna have to get your hair cut on the dark web.
On the dark web.
Dark web.
The dark web.
What?
Yeah, illegal haircuts.
Yeah. Yes. Or as otherwise known. Try it myself.
Yeah.
Which I really don't want to have to do. I don't trust myself.
We've been cutting Hector's haircut. We keep ending up with what I can only describe as the choir boy style.
Are you sticking a bowl on his head and
not quite that bad.
Oh.
Not quite that bad.
Yeah. I was going to say.
I'm just imagining the episode of Dr. Bean, Mr. Bean, where he goes into the barbers and this kid comes along straight down the middle.
Yeah. All of those are on BritBox. I should get on.
They're also on Netflix now as well.
Yeah.
There is a Bing head in that shop next door to us, isn't there?
Yeah.
Oh, what, Mr. Bean?
No, Bing.
Oh, Bing, as in the rabbit.
I thought you were talking about Mr. Bean. I thought you were talking about Bing.
No.
Oh, no.
I thought you were
Mr.
talking
Bean.
about I thought you were talking about Microsoft's search engine, Bing.
Oh no,
Yes.
No, you were thinking of the cartoon rabbit, but yeah.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if they did have a big Mr. Bean head in that shop below.
Oh,
basically, we got like a costume shop moved in next door to us. It used to be like a micro pub, but they moved out a while back, sometime last year. And now we've just got this shop that occasionally opens up, and it's just full of cartoon heads. Like LOL surprise heads and baby shark, a massive baby shark costume. And I think today we noticed there was the pink bear from Fortnite in the window as well.
Oh god, yeah.
Just giant
creepy,
just giant creepy off-model heads of
I was going to
characters.
mention. You just reminded me. Our son came in from school the other day, and he mentioned that he'd been playing. What was it? He'd been playing Imposter in the playground.
Oh god!
I was like, oh no!
Was he sus?
yeah, that's what we asked.
They were pretend playing Among Us. That's
true.
Oh,
it's infiltrating. It's infiltrating the children.
Yeah. Well, I'm just gonna tediously put these wires together and hope someone doesn't stab me in the back.
There needs to be a swear jar for saying Fortnite.
Hey, it's got Street Fighters in it now, so for some reason.
I want to unlock them, but I don't want to pay money.
Alright. So, yeah, that's it on my end.
Okay, fair enough. Right, so I guess we shall go on to the gaming news. And there's been quite a lot this week. It was actually kind of like day to day of just like rapid announcements from a few different places. So I guess we should start off with the fact that Pokemon is 25 years old.
Yes, it turns 25 years old on Saturday, I believe.
Yeah.
So Saturday, February 27th.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the anniversary in which the original Pocket Monsters Red and Green versions came out in Japan.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's so hard. It's so hard for me to remember how old it really is, because it wasn't until 2 years after that when Pokemon Red and Blue released in America.
Yeah, exactly.
Up until then, I'd never heard of Pokemon.
Oh, I don't know if I mentioned this once any time before, but the very first time I saw about Pokemon might have been in the newspaper, The Sun, where they ran an article about the cartoon causing seizures.
Yeah, I think that was my first exposure to Pokemon as well. Actually, was that?
And the Pikachu.
Yeah, it's the seizure cartoon. It's the cartoon.
What a way to learn about Pokemon.
Yep. I think that's how a lot of people in the UK first heard of it, actually.
Yeah, and then a short time later it aired on Sky One, and when I saw it then I was like, hang on, I recognise that yellow thing.
Pikachu?
Oh, are you getting
this yellow thing?
Yeah. Oh, you're getting him.
You gotta
do the angry one. There we go. He sounds so angry and constipated.
Yeah.
Even my mum loves Pikachu.
He still works after what was it? 22 years?
Yeah, this is a really old little keychain plush.
Yeah, wow.
I just can't get over how grumpy he sounds.
I remember
kill me.
I had talking Pokemon toys too, and for some reason, the Charmander and Squirtle toys I had actually had the Japanese voices.
Oh.
So I remember being so confused because I didn't know they had different names in Japan. I think Squirtle was Zendeni or something like that in Japan, and I forget what Charmander's called in Japan. But I remember I learned about Pokemon in a much more positive way, where Toys R Us randomly sent me a videotape in the mail, talking about what Pokemon is, and then showing me the anime and the games and all the toys that are about to come out. My brother and I used to watch that tape a lot after we got it, and we were hyped as hell.
That's cool.
Right, so
it was one of the only two videotapes Toys R Us sent me in the mail. The other one came a few years later, where they sent me a Nintendo 64 video talking about mostly Donkey Kong 64 and Jet Force Gemini. And I have no idea why we got those tapes in the mail, but they were pretty cool.
Because they wanted you to go to Toys R Us and buy those products.
They didn't do that over here, did they?
No,
obviously they want kids going to Toys R Us, but
yeah.
So, in line with the anniversary, the day before, on Friday, there was a Nintendo Direct thing for Pokemon.
Yeah.
And
they really hyped it up at the start, didn't they? There was like that 5-minute trailer where they were going through literally every Pokemon thing they've ever made over the years. It was like starting with the games, it was like the game, the anime, everything was like hashtagged. It was like the game, the anime, trading cards, talking to Pikachu with a microphone, loads of weird stuff from Japan that never came out here. Hashtag seizure moment. I don't know.
Oh my god! Can you imagine if they showed that?
Yeah.
They even had the
hashtag Porygon moment.
Oh god, yeah.
They even had the Pokemon Pikachu thing, which is the Tamagotchi.
Pikachu
I actually had that.
Yeah, that thing was cute. There's a Sakura Wars one of those. There's a Sakura Wars one. Yeah. They reskinned it as a Sakura Wars one, and it connected up to a Game Boy Color Sakura Wars game before Sega left the hardware business. It's very strange. But yeah, they hyped this whole thing up with this massive 25th anniversary thing where they're literally showing every conceivable Pokemon game and products they've ever made, including weird clothing lines and all kinds of stuff.
But
they didn't show the Pico games. I just realized that now.
No, there was no Sega Pico. No, you're right. They missed something there.
Yeah.
No Pikachu.
Oh.
But yeah, so... In that Pokemon Presents, they gave us an update on Pokemon Snap.
Yeah, that's out very soon, isn't it?
Yeah, at the end of April. And not one, but 2 new things got revealed, didn't it?
Yeah, so we're going to go into the first big thing they showed off. So this was pretty much rumoured for ages that this was going to happen. But yeah, so the first game they revealed was Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, which is going to come out at the end of the year. So this is a remake of the DS games, obviously, Diamond and Pearl. I'll put up the trailer on the stream so you can see it.
There you go, guys. There's your Gen 4 remakes.
Yeah. I don't know about you guys, but I was really expecting this to be another one of those Let's Go type situations. Where, it's similar to the original game, but it's different enough that you sort of get the, it didn't have battles in that one, did it? And the Pokemon weren't randomly, they don't randomly spawn in, they're actually in the scenery and you can walk up to them.
Well, I remember the game had battles, just not against wild Pokemon.
Yeah. But that's what I mean.
Remember, you still had to fight the gym leaders.
Yeah. No need to go into schematics. But I'm just really surprised this isn't another Let's Go situation. This looks like a 1-to-1 remake with the DS game, right down to the stocky characters. Let's just say, when they're in the hub world, they're very small little Pokemon masters.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know if you've seen this trailer or not. I don't know.
I'd have to check it afterwards because I've got the live stream on pause because otherwise I'll get out of sync.
Fair enough, yeah. But I don't know. It just doesn't look... It looks too similar to the original. It's just like a sort of high-def sort of 3D version of the original DS game, I guess. I guess I'm not really the best person to really talk about this. I don't know what you thought of it.
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah, I'm quite happy that they're actually going ahead with Gen 4.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll tell you one thing.
The paint is very interesting.
Pokemon Home's going to get wild when this comes out because a lot of the Gen 4 Pokemon were not so commonplace in Sword and Shield.
Is that why do you reckon that's why they've decided to do this one next?
Well, that and the last one was Ruby and Sapphire, wasn't it?
Was it?
It was.
The last one they remade?
Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire.
The last remakes,
so they're remaking them in order.
See, I thought Red and Blue was the last. Well, kind of Pokemon.
Well,
No,
It was like Pokemon Yellow, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And then Eevee was just a made-up one.
Mm.
So, yeah, there was no Pokemon Brown or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, Let's Go was based on Red, Blue, and Yellow, but that's a bit of an outlier.
Yeah, I suppose.
Yeah. I see that they're pretty much using the same like sort of battle styles as the Let's Go and Sword and Shield, rather than like. Cause I remember them being like sort of 2D in the original.
No, there's still
like
this
2D pixels.
Oh, what the DS game was. Yeah. This was before they went 3D, wasn't it? Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It kind of looks more like a straight remake than Let's Go did, which I feel like Let's Go did quite a few different things. Some like quality of life improvements to the flow of the games, I guess, and it feels like some people were complaining that it's a bit of a step back, and they kind of actually wanted some of that stuff from Let's Go in there. But
I thought a lot of those,
but at the same time. Yeah, that was the thing about Let's Go. It was different from the original, but it was also a lot more simplified.
For sure.
That's the main reason why you didn't have to actually fight wild Pokemon to catch them anymore. It was even in the name. Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. This was meant for the crowd that either got into Pokemon or got back into Pokemon via Pokemon Go.
Well, yes, exactly.
Clearly, yeah, I'm just surprised they're not doing another one of those. Really, I suppose. I thought that was what they were going to do from here on.
Yeah, I was expecting a gold and silver version. Yeah,
exactly. Well, maybe they will do that at some point.
I'd be up for that.
Yeah,
thinking about what the original Diamond and Pearl were like. I mean, I've never played Diamond and Pearl, but I have played Black and White, which I know is a little similar. The way the world was structured in that game, it's very different from what would later be done with Sword and Shield, and even with Sun and Moon, I guess. So you can kind of see it in the trailer where I think my favorite example would be that cave with all the conveyor belts that are a level above you from the ground.
Oh, yeah.
So, the way it was structured on the DS, being the 2D game, the way you'd have to traverse the environment and the way you had to see the environment in order for that to work. I was thinking at first, if they were to remake it, it'd probably be a little more like Sword and Shield. But thinking about Sword and Shield and the way it structured itself, along with how the camera worked, it'd be hard to reimagine all that stuff so that it works in that kind of context. So maybe they wouldn't have to go with the chibi art style for the characters in order to make that work.
Yeah.
Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee didn't go full chibi for the overworld.
If anything, I feel like Let's Go still is the nicest looking Switch Pokemon game. Like, I feel like Sword and Shield were kind of just look like up-resed, like 3DS Pokemon games a little bit. It didn't really have that much pizzazz to it, really. It just kind of looked like they upscaled the 3DS stuff in a way into HD. And this remake looks pretty simplistic as well. It does look like they've just kind of like one for one up-resed the old game, but with like little 3D models instead of I don't know. It's not really my, obviously I don't play Pokemon, so it's not really my place to say. But I have seen a lot of people saying it looks a bit, basic. What's quite interesting about this one, though, is it's actually been outsourced. It's not actually been developed by Game Freak. It's been developed by ILCA Inc., who are the creators of Pokemon Home.
Oh, yeah.
And I think they were also responsible for like the Switch port of the last Dragon Quest game, if I remember rightly.
They did.
Yeah,
they did that. They also assisted with Yakuza 0 and
apparently,
and Naruto Storm 4 and a bunch of other games that I can't remember right now.
Yeah, I think they're mostly like a porting company and stuff like that. So I guess because this one's been outsourced to a different company, maybe that's why it's so much more of a one-to-one remake and not like trying anything different.
I don't know if these games ever made an original game before this.
Not sure. Yeah, not 100% sure. But yeah, they are the developers of Pokemon Home, so it's not like they're they have no experience with the Pokemon series. They've literally made an app that communicates with most of the Pokemon games, so they obviously know their stuff.
Yeah, or like at least some of the more recent ones anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's that. And there was another reveal.
Oh, yeah, before we get to that, I just wanted to mention one other little thing I saw about this game is people noticed in the trailer that there's NPCs that were in Pokemon Platinum in the world. So maybe there might be elements of Platinum in this game as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, plus the trailer showed Porygon 2, which was not available in Diamond and Pearl.
Yeah, so maybe this is going to be sort of like both a remake of those games, and then they're going to include content from Platinum as well. This wasn't Platinum like the one they did straight after.
It was like the sort of yellow equivalent.
The yellow equivalent, like the Chapter 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think this was the last Pokemon game to actually have a third version like that. I'm trying to think. Did any of the others have? No. The closest thing to that. The closest thing to that would be some of them had direct sequels. So like Black and White had Black and White 2, and then Sun and Moon had Ultra Sun and Moon. Yeah. But those are still split into 2 versions, and they're still not the same game.
Yeah. So so there's that game, and then the other big game they revealed was, I don't know if you want to sort of describe this.
Right. So again, it's this is set in Sinnoh as well, but in a different sort of timeline. Yeah,
so this is basically set in the past, sort of like the ancient past of like the Pokemon timeline, which is kind of a first as far as I know. So it's like there's literally like little huts and villages. It's not there's no cities. There's no like I presume there's no Pokemon gyms or anything like that, because it is like civilization in its early days, I guess.
Well, it's like, I mean, the Pokemon universe is like really, really different from our universe.
Well, yeah.
So I do want to imagine they have like the sort of digital aspect of like the Pokemon shrinking into a ball.
Yeah. So this is, as far as I know, a spin-off, because for one, it doesn't have 2 variants. It appears to be 1 game, and it looks like they're actually doing the thing that people have wanted forever. They're making an open world game. Like I think that's what this actually is. This is a proper kind of like what they were sort of hinting at in Sword and Shield, where you had like those open areas they were small areas, but they were open areas where you could run around and find Pokemon.
What, the wild areas?
Yeah, the wild areas. Basically, it looks like they're expanding that out into a full, hopefully, Breath of the Wild scale. But I'm not going to expect Breath of the Wild scale, but at least something close to that kind of scale of like big open fields that you can find Pokemon in. And I think it's supposed to be more of like a real-time action RPG as opposed to turn-based, I think. But yeah, it looks quite interesting.
I've heard the way the battles work in this game is they're similar to what you come to expect from Pokemon, but rather than being totally turn-based, they run with a sort of active time battle system, kind of like certain Final Fantasy games.
So there's the name of the game. It was Pokemon Legends Arceus, yeah. And so this is going to come out early next year.
Yeah.
So
Arceus is essentially the equivalent of God in the Pokemon universe.
Yes.
Yeah, they sort of explained that quite thoroughly in the trailer.
It's also the event-only Pokemon from that generation.
Yeah, so it's going to be quite interesting to see what they actually did. Nice reuse of the Breath of the Wild engine. It kind of looks that way, doesn't it? But the other thing that I noticed was I know it's like a year away, so this is early footage, but my god, does it run like crap. The frame rate was all over the place in this trailer. Like, it's clearly very early days for this thing, and Game Freak are not exactly known for like being able to push like good visuals, like the fact that they had to turn off 3D in most of their 3DS games because they couldn't handle running a game smoothly in 3D, so they just didn't bother. But yeah, it looks like it needs a lot of work. It's clearly early days. Hopefully they manage to polish it up by the time it comes out next year, but it looked framey, very framey. It might also be a case of just like the scale of the game. Maybe, it's hard to really say at the moment because they've only put out that one teaser that sort of gives you a rough idea what's going to be what it is. But yeah, it's essentially open world, but not to the extent you would think with Pokemon, because as you say, it's set in the past. There's no gyms as far as we know. There's no like there's no like battle systems or like fighting other Pokemon trainers. I don't even think Pokemon trainers as a concept is fully formed in this timeline.
No,
as far as I know.
They say that the main goal of this game is to create the first Pokédex. So you're supposed to.
That's interesting.
Your goal in catching all this Pokemon is to study them and create a record of all of them. And I know some Pokemon fans have been saying, "Wait a second, didn't Professor X make? Not Professor X, Professor Oak. Didn't he create the Pokédex?"
He did.
And I think what's going on here is like, since this is ancient times, they'd have to write all this on like parchment paper, whereas the Pokédex that Professor Oak made, that's like a computer encyclopedia, right?
Yeah.
So this is like going from old encyclopedias to going to Microsoft's Encarta Encyclopedia to Wikipedia. So it's more like that, right?
Yeah. That makes sense. That's really interesting. I think there's a lot of potential in this game. It's nice to see them actually finally trying something different and trying the thing that I think for some people it's probably not the open world Pokemon game they wanted, because they probably wanted one that had a whole city and was like an MMO. You can interact with other players and there's like gyms and all that kind of stuff. But it's a stepping stone, you know. It takes Game Freak time. It takes some time to catch up with everyone else. So
right, they already had to completely redo a bunch of tried and true Pokemon concepts with Pokemon Sword and Shield. And even that, it's still similar to what Pokemon's always been like. So, they go with what works, and they can't change too much too soon, I suppose. Otherwise, people are going to think, this isn't Pokemon. What are you doing? But, leave it to a spin-off like Pokemon Legends of Arceus to...
I'm just assuming this is a spin-off and not like the main... I'm just assuming this is a spin-off because the way they worded it makes it kind of, the fact that it's called Pokemon Legends such and such makes me think this is like an offshoot idea, and they don't want to fully abandon traditional Pokemon games, which is fair enough. That makes perfect sense. Like they wouldn't want to do that. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this pans out and if it's really as big as they're sort of hinting at, like whether it's going to be, a truly open world Pokemon game where you can just explore these massive landscapes. But I think what people want is Breath of the Wild, but Pokemon. I think that's what they want. They just want these massive areas that they can explore. And I think that's what they might be attempting here. And if that's how it's going to end up, that's going to be that should be pretty cool.
Something like that, but I think if you were to do something like that with a main Pokemon title, there'd come a point where you'd run into Pokemon that are much stronger than your team, and you have no hope of actually fighting them. So
I actually think that would be a good way to go about it. I think that'd be quite interesting. Like you find these massive, rare Pokemon, then you can't get them straight away.
You sort of do that in as you start Sword and Shield. I think.
Yeah, there is like level caps, sort of, isn't there?
Yeah, because there was like the. Yeah, because I remember when I was first playing Sword, and I ran into that Onyx when that was at the time way too above my level.
Right, I think we should probably move on from the Pokemon stuff. But yeah, there was quite some interesting stuff in there. We didn't do a salt or hype of it because it was only like 20 minutes long, I suppose, and didn't think it was really worth it. But usually I like to think the stream should be at least half an hour for us to do one of those. Yeah. But I thought it was alright. I thought there was some there was some interesting stuff in there. As someone that's not even into Pokemon, but I know, you're big into Pokemon. So, we both watched it.
Also, the Direct also showed new Pokemon Snap, which comes out April 30th, and I'm hyped.
Yeah, that actually looks quite cool. Like, they finally showed like extended gameplay of it, and it is literally the same as the old game, which is fine by me. It's got the same like mechanics, where like it'll show all the photos displayed on the side, and it'll start rating them based on where their face is and how close to the camera they are and all that kind of stuff. And I think that's cool. Like, I always thought Snap was a cool spin-off.
I'm looking forward to that game hopefully helping me memorize all the a lot more of the Pokemon, because there's so many now. It's hard to keep track of them.
The only thing I'm a bit worried about is the fact that all the photos, you can put filters and like emotes on them, and then you can share them on social media. It's like, oh god, the day this game comes out, Twitter is going to be unbearable. I might have to avoid Twitter for a few days. It's just going to be Pokemon hundreds of photos of Pokemon with like heart emojis around them and stuff.
This game would really benefit from the social media age because of that, though, wouldn't it?
Oh yeah, that's why they're doing it. Yeah.
The original Pokemon Snap wishes it came out today, just because of that.
Yeah, exactly. It totally makes sense that they're doing that. It's the best
kind of free marketing, right?
Oh yeah, it's the best kind of free marketing, isn't it? Just letting people tweet out photos or whatever.
Yeah, but oh god, imagine if they did that with Rayman 3. Like, put that on the Switch and then let people upload the photos you take in that.
Oh, yeah, like that gnome in the first level that's got his butt out.
Yeah, yes.
That would just be you search hashtag Rayman 3 and all you'll see is hundreds of photos of a gnome's ass.
Yes. Yeah.
Because it's like one of the first things you see in that game. Like, if you snoop around enough, like, and go into photo mode, you can just find this gnome mooning.
Yeah.
Nice.
Alright, so...
Right, I guess we shall move on to the other big thing that happened. So there was a PlayStation State of Play, which we did feature. If you want to see our Salt of Hype, it is up on the channel, where they revealed a upgrade/expansion to Final Fantasy VII Remake. But there was also a load of other stuff that was not shown there because it wasn't really PlayStation related. So basically, Square was just having a whole Final Fantasy VII day, essentially. So we'll go down the list. There's a lot of things. So the thing that they showed at the PlayStation State of Play, because it was relevant, is the PlayStation 5 version of the game. And, it's a direct port of the game that you probably played last year, but with like better visuals and all that good stuff. Slightly better graphics, I guess. I could barely tell the difference, to be honest. It's like this one's got a bit more smog, but it's going to have a nice performance mode, so it moves at a nice smooth pace and all that kind of stuff. But really, the big thing with this reveal, the big chunk of this trailer is just them like literally putting a slider across the screen so you can vaguely tell the difference. It's like, look, it looks a bit sharper, ever so slightly. But the big thing about this was, for starters, if you have the PlayStation 4 version, they are offering a free upgrade, which I know is not a certain thing with all PlayStation 4 games that get ported over, unlike the Xbox where they have that scheme where, if you have the Xbox version, you can upgrade it to the Xbox Series version.
Smart delivery.
Yeah, smart delivery, that's the one. Yeah, so you look at this stuff and it's like, oh look, they put more fog. It's like, if anything, that looks slightly worse to me, but I don't know. I'm not watching this at 8K, so I can't tell the difference.
I mean, I saw it too. The other people were saying the fog makes it look worse. I mean, I think it's a little more realistic considering the
for sure,
the locales. But at the same time, I do kind of agree that that maybe too much fog is definitely not a good thing. Stylistically,
it's just weird choices in some of this trailer.
Other than that, the new lighting and the new textures are absolutely an improvement from my point of view.
Yeah, I know there were some spots of the game that people said looked a bit rough on the PS4, especially if you're playing on like a original PS4. But obviously playing it on 5, it's just going to be buttery smooth and full 4K and all that good stuff. But so they're doing the free upgrade, and the PS4 version of Final Fantasy VII Remake is actually part of this month's PlayStation Plus. And you can see where this is going, can't you? You can see where the monkey paw is coming in. You can see where the monkey paw is going to come in. Hey, we're giving the game away for free if you have PlayStation Plus, and we're doing a free upgrade. Except if you get the free version from PlayStation Plus, it doesn't count.
Yep.
I mean,
what a surprise!
You're going to lose the free version anyway if you stop paying.
That's
paying
true.
For PlayStation Plus.
Yeah,
nothing
that's
is truly free.
No.
Yeah, no. But yeah, I suppose there's that, and then also the big part of this trailer wasn't just the fact that they're just porting over Final Fantasy VII Remake. They're doing an expansion called Integrate. I think it's called Integrate.
Integral.
Integrate, something like that. Some random word they threw a dart at. So this is a side story starring Yuffie.
Yeah.
And it appears...
Some other guy.
yeah, it looks like... I think people were saying that guy is from Dirge of Cerberus. As far as I know. So they might be going into Dirge of Cerberus territory with some of this plot.
I did play that, but a long time ago, so I can't remember.
Yeah, but apparently, this expansion is probably going into spin-off territory. Offshoot territory a little bit.
I've never played Dirge of Cerberus, but my brothers played it.
I really like it.
Yeah, so there's story beats from that game that I wouldn't really know about, but I do know a bit about Yuffie's backstory. Now, in the original Final Fantasy VII, you don't actually meet Yuffie in Midgar. You actually meet her by... You might not even meet her at all, in fact. What happens in that game is you meet her in a desert, where you might randomly encounter her like any enemy in the game. And after that is when you can possibly unlock her as a permanent addition to your team. So
that's right. Yeah, you can find her in like this one particular island where a village is, and you have to fight her, and then you have to answer a bunch of questions correctly.
Yeah. By the time you meet her, you've completely left Midgar, because Midgar has left the mortal coil.
So yeah, it's interesting. Like, I kind of like it actually, because when I first saw the gameplay pop up in this trailer, I thought, oh, it's just going to be going into the next part of the.
That's what I was thinking. I was wondering if we were starting to see like part 2, but nope. This is the gap. This is the gap year, the first of many gap years.
I could tell it was a spin-off immediately, because again, I already knew that you're not supposed to meet Yuffie in Midgar.
Yeah, that's fair.
But they are messing up a lot of stuff in this remake.
Yeah,
there's even a point in the trailer where it shows Barrett and Tifa talking about how they met, how they lost Cloud. This is when Cloud gets separated from the team. Yeah. After another run on another Shinra reactor, when he meets Aerith.
Yeah, he's falls off.
Yeah, and Yuffie doesn't actually encounter Barrett or Tifa during this time. They actually do go out of their way to avoid them when they see them.
Yeah, so the thing with this expansion as well is it's going to be exclusive to the PS5.
No surprises.
So if you want to play more Final Fantasy VII Remake, you're going to have to cough up the money for that console you can't buy. Because no one has it, and it's been scalped to hell and back.
I was figuring you'd have to get it anyway if you want to get part 2 of Final Fantasy VII, which...
Oh yeah, when that eventually comes out.
Yeah, which is likely to be 3 or 4 years away.
At this rate, I would be shocked. But... Square are definitely trying to fill the gap year with as much Final Fantasy VII as you could possibly handle, because this wasn't even the only thing they announced on the day. They basically threw out a whole truckload of other stuff, including 2 mobile games, and the first one is hang on, I'll put it in the right place and put this trailer up so you can actually see the thing. Hang on a sec. There we go. So I'm going to just let this play out so you can see it. But so they announced 2 mobile games. The first one is called The First Soldier, and as you'll see, it's a Final Fantasy VII Battle Royale.
Oh no, I didn't see that one.
Yeah, I put the trailer up now, and it's like, yep, This is a thing. Yep.
Hey, if there could be like a Super Mario Battle Royale or Tetris Battle Royale.
Yeah, why not? Everyone gets a Battle Royale.
You can make any classic game into a battle royale. And you know what? From what I remember about Soldier and how they operated in Final Fantasy VII's history, a battle royale game actually does make a lot of sense. Story-wise.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah. I'm actually looking forward to it. The only really weird thing from my perspective is that this is a mobile game.
Yeah, so far they've just announced it for Android and iOS, so I don't know if this will ever come to consoles, but knowing Square, it probably will eventually, because their mobile games do tend to get ported.
Probably,
for example, that really cool little remake, like demake of Final Fantasy 15 they did, ended up coming out on the Switch, so...
Yeah, and I think that's on the other consoles too. I don't know if it's on PC. But the Battle Royale is likely to come to consoles and PC. I'm just kind of surprised it's coming to mobile first.
Yeah, I guess that's where the market for that kind of game is. Like, that's where most people play Fortnite, so I guess that's what they're thinking.
Marketing-wise, it might actually make sense, but I don't know. It still seems odd to me.
One thing that confused me in the trailer was the fact that there was loads of like bosses and like big enemies from Final Fantasy VII jumping around in the place. Like, how's that going to work in the context of Battle Royale? Are you summoning them? In some of the scenes, it looks like they're summoning.
I think that's what happens. Because it's
very confusing trailer.
That's a big thing in Final Fantasy where you can summon mythological creatures to help you in battle. So I imagine that's going on here.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it also has that scorpion robot, which was the first major boss in Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah.
So maybe you summon that too. I don't know.
Yeah, it's all very confusing. Like, the whole trailer is just baffling. Like, you just watch it and you're just like, what? Okay, yep, sure, do that, I guess.
It's not even the first online shooter in the Final Fantasy VII universe. A lot of people don't know, but Dirge of Cerberus actually had an online multiplayer mode.
I didn't know that.
Taken out of the Western version.
Oh, I did not know that.
Japan only. Huh.
Yeah, it was only in the Japanese version of the game.
Oh, wow.
Weird. Right, so they announced another mobile game, and I think this is actually the most interesting thing they announced on the day. So this game is called Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis, and this looks really cool, honestly. Like, as soon as you see it, like, it's like a top-down isometric remake, another remake of Final Fantasy VII, but it's done more in the style of the original game.
Yeah. The funny thing is, when I saw the trailer, I just thought it looked like kind of almost like a HD version of the PS1 game.
Yeah, in a way, but apparently the combat is more like remakes.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So
I love how top-heavy Barrett looks in this game.
Yeah.
he's massive. He looks like Knuckles from Sonic Boom. He's just like big.
It reminds me of that one that I grabbed on the Switch, the Final Fantasy 15.
Yes, like that
mini edition.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, the D-make. What I like to call the D-make, because it's sort of like pulled down. Yeah,
which was actually brilliant. By the way.
Yeah, I think that's what this is. This is basically like Final Fantasy VII remake. D-make. It's a D-make of a remake, basically. Yes. I think that's what it is. I like that it has what looks like pre-rendered backgrounds, just like the original game. I think that's really cute. I actually kind of like the look of this more than the actual remake. I think this looks rad. Like, I really like the aesthetic of this. And then when you get into the combat, it looks more like remake to some extent.
Yeah,
obviously cut down to mobile.
Don't you?
I assume you're going to have a pretty damn good mobile phone to run this, judging by these scenes.
Yeah, I'm really hoping it will get like it did with Final Fantasy 15. I hope it'll get a console port.
Yes, I think this will happen. Right, okay, I need to pause here. This is the big part. So this is not just a remake of Final Fantasy VII. This is a remake of the entire compilation of Final Fantasy VII. So basically every conceivable spin-off of Final Fantasy VII is going to be remade in this style. And that includes Advent Children, the movie, Before Crisis, Crisis Core, and Dirge of Cerberus. So they're just going to remake everything. We're remaking all the Final Fantasy VII things, and they're going to remake Guys as well, just so they can just get everything.
That'll be a turn up.
I'm glad Before Crisis was there, because Before Crisis was actually made for Java phones.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that wasn't. You can't even play that now. Yeah. So they're kind of doing what they've done with like Kingdom Hearts in the past, where it's just like, oh, here's every conceivable bit of story plot on one disc, and like so you get every conceivable angle of this story and everything we've ever told of it, and that's kind of what they're doing here. I have no idea how long this is going to take them to make. If they're pretty much going to put out, you know, the entirety of Final Fantasy VII in this style, probably much quicker than Remake is going to, but then they've also got all this other stuff to do as well. It's like, how's this going to work? How is this even doable? How much crunch are the developers going to go through to do this?
Man,
like, it depends how much they cut it down, I suppose. It depends if it's like truncated in any way. Like if they like cut it down to like the bare basics, you know, they Dragon Ball Kai it or anything.
Yeah,
they might do, because it is like a mobile remake, I suppose.
Oh, actually, no. I think you're right. I think at the start of the trailer somewhere, I think it does shove in the word episodic.
Ah, yes. Yeah. So how many years is this going to take? Like, this is going to be an ongoing project for like 5-6 years, I reckon.
Yeah, I was about to say by 2026 it'll all be out there, and
and by then we might get part 2 of the remake. The big remake, the big budget remake, not this remake, the other remake.
Well, the thing is,
by then we might have Final Fantasy 17.
Yeah,
possibly. The thing is about the remake, every single little bit of detail in the actual game is its own little asset. So that's why the game file is so big.
Yeah.
Like 100 gig plus.
Jesus.
Like literally everything.
Oh, man. You just made me realize. You just made me realize. I can only imagine how much space this game is going to take up on your mobile device.
Yeah, it's got. You're gonna have to buy a really high-end phone and just exclusively have this on it.
Better save up for those 3 terabyte micro SD cards as soon as they're available.
Well, there's that, and like micro SD cards are gradually being taken away from phones. So you're stuffed.
Oh yeah, exactly. Especially if you're on iOS. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. iOS. They never taken micro SD cards, didn't they?
No.
Not since the original iPhone.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you didn't have micro SD yet, but still.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah. So yeah, the fact that they're doing these insanely ambitious games and they're just like mobile only currently is bizarre. But I guess they're just starting on mobile. I'm going to assume these will eventually get ported. There's no way they won't, because Square likes money.
I saw someone say
unlike
that
certain companies, they do have a habit of making most of their games available on most systems. I mean, they've been doing a really good job of porting, like, for example, the Saga Frontier games, and a lot of their older, more obscure RPGs have been getting ports to all the modern consoles and to mobile and all over the place. So Square have been very good at making sure their stuff is available, you know, and you can buy it.
Oh,
if you have a modern console, you can buy most of their games, you know.
But you know, I saw someone say that this is likely to be the only Final Fantasy VII remake on the Nintendo Switch, and I think he might be right.
Yeah, if this ever comes out to the Switch, that'd be cool.
This is all because that Final Fantasy VII remake is also the only way you're going to experience Final Fantasy 15 on Switch.
Yep,
exactly.
And I'm sure there's a good reason for that, but I couldn't blame some people for being disappointed that remake's not going to happen on the Switch.
Yeah, it's just so weird that we're talking about a demake of a remake. What?
I can't imagine.
They're milking this remake dry. They are really gonna milk this for the next decade, aren't they? By the end of this decade, we'll be so sick of the sight of Final Fantasy VII, man.
I couldn't even imagine we'd be talking about any company doing something like this. Square Enix. God bless them. That they're a crazy developer.
Oh yeah, they're insane. I don't even know how they pull off some of the stuff they pull off.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Alright. I guess we'll move on from Final Fantasy VII because we're going to be hearing a lot about Final Fantasy VII for probably 7 years at least. At this rate, like we're going to be sick of the sight of it. At this rate, I think by the time they actually
7 forever, Morty, forever and ever.
It's only one of the most important RPGs of all time,
I guess, but they're really milking it. Like they're really overly milking
just that one.
The teats out of that particular Final Fantasy. Like we get it. It was popular because it was on the PlayStation. We get it. Like if it came out on anything else, it probably wouldn't have been anywhere near as influential and popular.
The thing is, right? I've said this before, right? But I you guys already know I like Final Fantasy VII. You know, I've played it through. I've done multiple times. I really enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
But this thing about it being one of the most iconic RPGs in the world doesn't really make a lot of sense to me because in the grand scheme of things, it's not. It's a good game. I play it. I love it. It's great. Yeah. But is it that good?
Yeah, that's the thing.
I mean, I know someone whose favorite Final Fantasy game is Final Fantasy VIII, and that one's really good too.
Yeah, I like it.
It didn't have nearly the same impact as 7. I think most people only cared about that game because 7 existed in the first place. In my case, I'd never even heard of Final Fantasy until 7 came out.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. Final Fantasy VII is that popular because it was the first like CD
this
based
might make
console
sense.
RPG that everyone played.
It was a lot of people's gateway, wasn't it?
A lot of people's introduction to the series because we missed out on a few of them, didn't we? And like they were kind of they're a bit hard to find on the SNES a lot of the time.
And that does make sense.
I mean, it wasn't even the first RPG on the PlayStation. No, there were.
Oh no, of course not. But this is the first big one, you know.
But this was the first big one, and easily the first majorly cinematic game, which is a big thing you see in games nowadays. I mean, Uncharted would probably not be the kind of game it is if not for Final Fantasy VII pushing the envelope in the way it did.
Yeah, I suppose. But yeah, I get it. But all right, we'll. I think we should probably move on from. There's a lot that basically they just went a bit ham crazy with the Final Fantasy stuff. They're just like, here, have all the Final Fantasy VII things, have it all.
It feels like I'm a teenager again when nobody shuts the fuck up about Final Fantasy VII.
In most cases, it's just Square now. It's just Square that won't shut up about it.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's come full circle. It's come full circle. When I was in high school, no one would shut up about it, and then people kind of got they didn't really get over it, but we stopped hearing about it. And now it's the developer that won't shut up.
Now you know how guys. Now you know how Cloud felt when Sephiroth was introduced into Smash Brothers. He's like, oh man, I can't get away from this dude.
Sake. Yeah.
That annoyed me with the Final Fantasy VII remake in the first place. Like 5 minutes in, you see Sephiroth. It's like, excuse me, you don't even see this guy.
By the way, this guy, you know this guy, right?
You don't even properly see him.
We've got to make sure we get that song in. Yeah.
In the original game, you're not supposed to see him until you've left Midgar, which is the whole. Midgar's the whole focus of this game, so you shouldn't even see him yet. His name crops up.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, his name crops up, and that's about it. But no, in the remake, they're like, "Remember this guy? Here he is!" Oh, like 5 minutes.
Mazzaroth.
Bugger off.
Every time I say, Mazzaroth's that chocolate, isn't it?
Oh yeah. Right,
Aldi chocolate.
I'm going to say we need to move on. We've got 2 other bits. Right. So this is kind of connected because this is to do with Square. But I don't know if you remember Forever Entertainment. So these are the Polish studio that just last year remade Panzer Dragon.
Yeah.
So there's been 2 bits of news related to this developer this week. The first one was they tweeted out basically saying that the remake of Panzer Dragon Zwei, which was is it Zwei?
Oh, Zwei.
The sequel. They've pretty much announced that the sequel is due to release this year, which is really surprising. Like that's quick. Like. Hopefully they don't rush it, but the second game is very similar to the first game. It's just more of the same thing, just done nicer, done with a bit more polish.
on the Saturn. So try to be exotic by calling it Zwei rather than
Zwei,
two.
Yeah.
German.
But yeah, so yeah, they announced that Panzer Dragon 2 is coming out this year. Whether or not they'll move on to Saga after that, I guess we'll have to wait and see. That would be a much more ambitious undertaking than these two games. Yeah, the first two are rail shooters. They're quite simplistic. They're the first game you can beat it in less than an hour. It's a very short game. The second game isn't that much longer, to be honest. It's more of the same. So yeah, remaking an hour-long rail shooter isn't too complicated, but. Yeah, like remaking a 4 CD RPG which has no source code because Sega lost it is going to be a lot harder. If they even dare to do it. These guys also have House of the Dead remakes in the works, which they have mentioned in the past. Yeah, they're working on House of the Dead 1 at the moment.
That's the one I want the most.
Yes.
Because it had awful ports back in the day.
Exactly, yeah, there is no good ports.
And it's my favourite one as well. I even like that more than 2, believe it or not. I really like the first one.
Yeah,
it's the one I played the most.
Yeah, unfortunately, it just never had a good port. The Saturn port is just ropey as all hell.
Even the PC ports.
I mean, the PC one was based on the Saturn one, so that's why it's so rough.
Yeah, I have the PC version, so I know of that one, but I'm pretty sure it's never shown up on any other consoles after that.
No, it never did.
Recorded a few times, but not the first one.
Yeah.
I like 2 and 3. That was came out on the Wii. That was cool.
That was great. I played so much of that with my dad, like the Wii one.
Yeah. They just conveniently skipped over the one I really like.
Yeah, it would have been nice to have finally got a good port of 1. It really would.
Yeah. So I would be very
this
happy
remake is going to be quite interesting. I'm not quite sure how they're going to go about light gun mechanics on modern machines. Whether it's going to be gyro controls or. I feel like light gun games have the modern equivalent of light gun games is VR. Like, if you're going to do a true light gun game, I feel like VR is the way to go because that's where it works most in modern technology-wise. Like, that's just how it works now. I feel like if you're going to do that. Oh, speaking of which, this is completely unrelated. I'm just going to slip this in here. But the developers of Hot Shot Racing, that polygonal sort of virtual racing style racing game that came out last year, they've just announced a VR light gun game in the style of Virtua Cop and Time Crisis. And it's like low poly Virtua Cop 1 style visuals, and it looks so good.
That's from the same developers of Hot Shots Racing? Now that makes sense.
Yeah, that's what they're working on next. They're doing more low poly goodness, and it's going to be in VR, so that's going to be amazing. But yeah, going back to Forever Entertainment, so I feel like, I guess, the Panzer Dragon remake must have made a good impression on some people, because they also, just the other day, announced that they have signed a deal with Square Enix to make several remakes across all platforms on one of Square's IPs. Like, very specifically, they said that they're making a series of remakes based on a Square Enix franchise. So when we say Square Enix, it could be anything from Final Fantasy to Dragon Quest to any of the IDOS stuff they now own, like Tomb Raider or anything like that. And this isn't actually the first time Forever Entertainment has collaborated with Square Enix, because they also made that Fear Effects, what was it, Fear Effects Sedna, I think it was called. It apparently wasn't very good, like it didn't do very good reviews, but Forever Entertainment's an interesting one, because they, up until they made that Panzer Dragon remake, they were kind of just known as like a bit of a shovelware developer.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like they just pumped out loads of like clones of games by like other like developers, and they just published a lot of like very cheapo games on the Switch in particular. Like most of the games that are like rock bottom prices all the time on the Switch are published by that publisher. But I feel like the turning point for this developer was definitely the Panzer Dragon remake, because they really put a lot of passion into it. You could tell they were big time fans of the game. Even all the Switch version had some issues in terms of like the performance, and they had to patch it to make it basically fully playable because it was a bit rough when it first came out. They proved that they can remake a game if they got the right passion for it, and they've been plugging away at House of the Dead. I think they are actually planning to do at least 1 and 2 when it comes to House of the Dead. So they've sort of found a new niche for themselves here where they are remaking old games. In their statement about the Square stuff, they said it's going to be several titles based on the same brand, but the series hasn't been confirmed at the moment. It will be made public in a separate report when it's all kind of in broken English, but because they're Polish, but it says the remakes will be in a new visual design, but the gameplay and scenarios will remain consistent with the original version. So I guess
Sorry about the noise there. I had a spider ambush me.
Oh God!
I just had to quickly twat it one.
Wow.
Sorry if that picked up.
I don't think it did, but
no.
I didn't hear surprised.
I had to slap it out of the air and then like whack it while it was on my chair. I turned around and it was like displaying itself. I've got very bad arachnophobia.
Yeah.
It was either that or I just ran off the stream for the night.
Yeah, just like, bye! I've been Murry Curry, bye!
Ripping the headphones out as I run away. Little bastard.
Amazing.
Yeah, so I guess this news is still a little bit. This news is a little bit vague. There isn't really much to say other than it's interesting, I guess, to see that like another. Because I think in the case of like the remakes that they're making of Sega properties, it was them approaching Sega about remakes. Whereas in this case, it sounds like it's the other way around, where Square Enix have approached them and signed a contract for this thing. I don't know how it really. I guess we'll find out later what this is actually going to be. I guess.
Interesting.
They seem to be very busy at the moment with these remakes. They've got quite a few in the pipeline now.
Let's see.
I'll tell you what I'd really like.
Several remakes for one IP. It sounds like more than 2. So I'm rolling out Chrono Cross and Chrono Trigger.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
those are the only 2 games in that series.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's like one of their IDOS IPs.
I was just about to say, what I would really, really like is probably won't happen, but like if they remade or even just put a collection of the old Tomb Raider games out, I would love to.
I could see them doing remakes, but like close to the original remakes of Tomb Raider. I could see that happening because
I would love that. I'd be all over
that. Especially if they, it's several remakes of a Square Enix IP. It could be Tomb Raider.
It seems plausible, doesn't it? It seems they've done Sega Saturn games and remade them into new fancy graphics, so it wouldn't be too far of a stretch for them to do like another 32-bit era series like that.
Even like a collection on the Switch, I'd love that because the 5 PS4, the 5.
These are definitely going to be remakes because these are definitely going to be remakes and not ports.
Right.
So
it could even be
they're clearly stating that they're going to be visually quite different or like. New, fresh coat of paint. They're not going to be ports or anything because these guys tend to, like in the case of Panzer Dragon, that is quite a visual, quite a stylistic difference in some ways. Like, it's because they're interpreting a game that has probably not, it hasn't aged amazingly because just the technology. It's an early Sega Saturn game. It was quite pixelated and whatnot, so they sort of based it all on like the concept art of the game because the game Panzer Dragoon always had a beautiful like aesthetic in terms of like all its concept art and like the lore and just like the world building was always very good, especially in Saga. So they were building on that to make the new visuals, and some people, it had mixed responses from people. Well, I honestly thought it was a really nice remake, so it would be cool to see what they end up doing with Square.
Very possibly intriguing news there.
Yeah.
Very too vague at the moment though.
I was just thinking it could also be like something like Gex, because Gex had 3 games. Right?
Oh God! Oh,
yeah,
hype!
I was just remembering.
Gex-free.
I was just remembering how a couple of years ago, Square Enix opened up a few old obscure IDOS properties for indie devs to possibly make new entries in.
True.
That's why
I completely forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why
how
Fear
this came
Effect said
about.
that happened. That's why Fear Effect said that happened. And the other IPs I remember they named specifically were Gex and Anachronox. But Anachronox only had one game.
Yeah. So it's going to be Gex, guys. It's going to be Gex. Get hype. Gex is back, baby. Everyone's favourite platformer.
Gex could definitely use a graphical overhaul.
Gex could just do with not
a bin.
Yeah, there you go. A bin. There you go.
Is that too long?
It's better than a remake of Wild Woody.
Barely, just about. I would maybe take Wild Woody over.
I'd be happy with a Wild Woody remake,
but that's not hilarious. Scary, so. No. It's just quite funny to me because when you look at Forever Entertainment's like lineup of games in the past, like they literally, for example, to give you an idea of the kind of games they've published in the past, they put out like this sort of Pac-Man clone with like a caterpillar on the Switch, and then they re-released it again and literally just reskinned it so the caterpillar was a zombie. So they just sold the same game twice. This is the kind of caliber of games that they used to make, and I guess they still publish. I think they're more a publisher than a developer, and they work with loads of different like small publishers, developers.
I remember bought a game from them called BioLab Wars, which is an NES style shooter.
Yes, and I had one.
Yeah, and it's kind of boring. It's no Blazing Chrome.
Yeah, they are known for putting out games that are like, hey, look, this game is 98% off on the Switch eShop, and it's like, yeah, it always is. I don't think you ever intended to sell it for £10. It's always 89p. But yeah, it's interesting. I'm kind of looking forward to seeing what it ends up being. I think Tomb Raider makes sense. Like, if they're going to do like the original trilogy, that would make sense to me. Great. That would make sense. Yeah. Like, I mean, it's a thing people want.
With Square Enix's JRPGs, they got most of those on lock already.
Exactly. So they're pretty much doing all the RPG stuff on their own, in-house. So it makes.
Yeah, so it pretty much just leaves the one-off games like, say, Bahamut Lagoon or Threads of Fate, and those aren't part of a series. And they said this was a series.
Exactly. Yeah. So probably not
several games in one IP. So
I could see it being either a Western IP that they own, like something by IDOS. Yeah, like that. Yeah. Or Gex.
Hey, anything can happen.
They're going to bring back that random live-action lady that was in the third one, aren't they?
Oh, God.
Yeah,
I think you've got a podcast title there, or Gex.
Or Gex. Welcome to the Lucky Hit Podcast, episode 99. Or Gex.
Right. ... or Gex.
Right, I guess we shall move on to the last bit of news, and this is a bit of a sad one, unfortunately. So, sorry, I just need to drink some water before I do that.
That devastating.
Yeah, and my throat's going because we've been talking for 2 hours. So from April the 1st, speaking of things that die on April, like most of Mario's anniversary. Yeah, I wish this one was. From April 1st, PlayStation's Japan studio is going to be effectively closed down. So if you don't know who Japan Studio is, you will certainly know their games. They put out a hell of a lot of games. They're most famous for Ape Escape, like the Ape Escape franchise. But I always associate them as that quirky studio that makes the kind of weird shit that I love on PlayStation, especially on the PS1 and 2. They also developed Legend of Dragoon on the PS1 as well. And
yeah, I noticed that earlier. Man, Legend of Dragoon really got the short stick in life, didn't it?
It really did. Was it even on the PlayStation Mini? Because I don't think it was.
It was on the PlayStation 1.
Should have been.
That game came out, I think, in 2000.
Yeah.
So this was the same year the PlayStation 2 launched.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I should probably explain what I'm actually talking about before we start reminiscing about their games. So what's happening is essentially most of the staff are going to be merged with Team Asobi, who were the guys behind Astro's Playroom, because I think it sounds like they just kind of want to focus on that franchise. It's quite clear what's happening here. They want Astro to be the PlayStation's Mario. I think that's where they're going with this. I'm not surprised because they put like two games with Astro in them? Because there was that VR game, wasn't there?
Actually,
free.
I saw someone streaming the PlayStation demo that they've got with Astro buying it.
Yes, the PS5 one. It's amazing. It's so good. Yeah, it's so good. Like, so far, it's the best way to have a look at what the haptic feedback's like as well.
Yes, yeah.
Like how it works. I really can't wait to try it. That's like the first thing I want to try when I finally get my hands on a PS5.
I was watching Super 80s Gamer going through it, and he just could not stop like nostalgia and went hard.
Yeah, because that whole game is basically PlayStation nostalgia video game, because you just collect highly detailed 3D models of every PlayStation peripheral and controller and console they've ever made.
They even call them artifacts as well.
Yeah. And
like memory
you get like
stuff.
You even get the stuff like that PlayStation VR gun and like the old iToy and the PlayStation 3 camera, and they put so much detail into them. They look photorealistic. You just look at it, you just move them around and like, oh, it looks just like the thing that's sitting in my drawer somewhere and hasn't been used for years.
Only with a lot less dust.
Yeah, exactly. Much cleaner. But yeah, I'm not surprised that they want to focus on the Astro, what's essentially a franchise now, because it started out as like that. What was that thing that came out on the PS4? And it was like for the camera, wasn't it? Playroom. That's it. Yeah, that's where the character debuted, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's a free app on every PlayStation 4 system.
That's it. Yeah. So that was sort of like where the Astro character came from, the little robot guy, little cutie he is. I think he's adorable. And then they did that the PSVR game, and now the most recent one is that PS5. Yeah, it's a freebie that comes pre-installed with the console, but a lot of people are saying it's better than most platformers. That are like, available as paid games. So it's really good. So yeah, I'm not surprised they want to focus on that. So a lot of the staff from Studio Japan are moving there, but then one of the main sort of directors, Keiichiro Toyama, he's actually setting up his own studio called Bokeh. And that's where most of the staff are migrating to. They're basically leaving Sony and just forming their own studio, which, that's going to be really promising, actually. I think they've got a lot of potential to, make a niche for themselves outside of the PlayStation IP trappings, I guess, because I've always found Studio Japan have always been like the risky, like experimental studio at PlayStation. Like they always put out the kind of weird stuff that I adore. The guy that's forming Studio Bokeh, he was the director of Gravity Rush. So and also he was also involved in the Siren series, and I think he directed one of the original Silent Hill games, if I remember reading rightly. But yeah, basically from this year, Studio Japan is pretty much no more, which really bloody sucks. But it sounds like most of the staff are forming their own studio, and they'll probably continue to make the kind of quirky, bizarre games they used to make, which I'm looking forward to because I've always liked their stuff. Like, usually whenever the logo for Studio Japan comes up, my ears prick up and I pay attention because they've always been the PlayStation exclusive stuff that I've really dug. Like, a lot of the games they've made are the kind of games that didn't review well, but I just loved them anyway. Games like Fantavision, Tokyo Jungle, as you know, that was like one of my favourite PS3 games. Kung Fu Rider, the PlayStation Move game where you got the guy on the shopping trolley going down a hill and kicking people. Love that bloody stupid game. I only paid £3 for it, so I guess I'm a little biased. I didn't pay like 30 quid or whatever it was when it came out, but when I got it, I just love that game. It's so stupid. That game's ridiculous. Like, I love the fact that they, for some reason, they dubbed everyone with British accents. I don't know why, but it adds to it.
They only did that with the Europe version of that game, because in the American version they have. Yeah, in the American version, they have standard American English accents.
Oh, that's really interesting.
Different voice acting.
PS3's Region 3. Import the UK version because the voice acting is amazing.
It's like what they did with Kirby's Epic Yarn then.
Yeah, because they probably heard the word, the floor feels like pants. And they were like, we can't have that. We need to redub this whole game just so he says trousers instead. But I'm glad they did, because the voice acting in the UK version of Kirby's Epic Yarn is adorable.
Yeah.
It's like something out of an old Oliver Postgate show.
Well, it is Paul Vaughan, so...
Yeah, exactly. They got Paul Vaughan. I thought that was a stroke of genius. But to go into some more of the games that they developed, obviously, what was I just saying? Gravity Rush was another one that they were involved in. Basically, they collaborated on a lot of...
Yeah, Gravity Rush was another game that deserved the world and just didn't get it.
Exactly. That's the thing. The thing with Japan studios, they put out a lot of weird experimental games that didn't really sell well, and I think that's why PlayStation are like, well, we don't really want this anymore. They don't make enough money, and we know Sony is like that. They've closed a lot of studios in the last decade that I'm really gutted about. Like, in particular, bloody Studio Liverpool, aka DMA Design.
Oh yeah.
Not DMA Design. Yeah, Psygnosis rather. Not DMA. Sorry, Psygnosis.
Yeah, Psygnosis. They became Sony Liverpool.
Yeah, they went quite a few years ago.
Yeah.
DMA Design sucks.
You know what else?
Design is Rockstar now, isn't it?
Yeah, that's Rockstar.
That's
you know what else Sony Japan made? Anyone remember Trash Panic on the PlayStation?
Oh God. That is the hardest puzzle game I've ever bloody played. It's such a cool idea. It's so cool.
Such a cool game, though.
Yeah, it's like Tetris, but you're literally just throwing rubbish into the pile, and it's all got realistic rubbish physics. So you're like literally like chucking in like bin bags and like wreckage of like a ship and all this kind of stuff. It's probably the hardest puzzle game I've ever played. Like,
and you have to.
It's so difficult.
You have to come up with creative ways to pack in the trash or even reduce the trash. So, like, if something's on fire, you have to drop it on something that's flammable.
Yes. Yeah, so you have to burn some of the stuff. You have to, like, splash water on some of it to put it out, or just, like, try and, like, disintegrate things. And it's really clever, but also just, like, nigh on impossible.
Yeah. It was one of the coolest PlayStation Network games, and I hate that it's trapped on the PlayStation 3.
Yes, I would love a port of that.
Speaking of games that are trapped on the PlayStation 3, Puppeteer. That was Japan Studio.
Was that Japan Studio?
Yeah, Puppeteer, Japan. That was Japan Studio. That was one of my favorite PS3 games.
Oh my God, that game is so good.
I remember getting you that for Christmas.
That is like one of the most underrated platformers of the last generation. I swear to God, that game was so fucking cool. Like, it's like what Dynamite Heady was trying to be, but even better. Like, the aesthetic is so like puppet-like, and just like the mechanics of like with the scissors, where you're like snipping away all the scenery and manipulating the world with these scissors and stuff. Oh, so good. I need to play that again. Like, I remember when they first showed that off at E3, and I was like, "Yep, this is the coolest game I've ever seen." Like,
oh yeah, I thought the same thing.
It's just got such a good look to it. I didn't realize that of them as well. That makes so much sense.
A lot of people don't realize it because nobody remembers Puppeteer.
Exactly. I still have it. I still have a copy of it on my shelf.
People remember stuff like Folklore, which is probably deserving, even though I don't like Folklore. But nobody talks about Puppeteer.
What about The Last Guy? Did you ever play that?
The Last what?
The Last Guy. That was a cool game.
Doesn't sound familiar.
That was a cool game. It was basically like a crowd control thing where you're like making big queues of people and then you're trying to make sure none of them die on the way to a different location or something. It was really bizarre.
Oh,
but...
you know what? This does sound familiar.
Yeah, that was on PS3 as well. Also, failed to forget to mention Loco Roco on the PSP, which we played a little bit of music of at the start of the podcast. Love that friggin' game.
Loco Roco
Patapon
and
as
Patapon.
Well.
They also played a big hand in development of Parappa the Rapper and its sequels, which were
if you start going into what they co-developed, then you're getting into some territory of they did truckloads.
Yeah, but it is sort of in the same territory as Patapon and Loco Roco, being music games and all. It's just that one was mainly developed by Nana Onshaw.
Yeah, of course.
But even so, that's one of the first games people think of when they think of the PlayStation.
Exactly, yeah. Like, I would associate a lot of the games that Japan Studio made more so than I would a lot of the stuff that's like really popular now, like God of War and now. I don't really care for those. For me, PlayStation, like especially like early PlayStation, was all about these weird ass games that they would make that are just like
and very few other games that ever showed up on PlayStation systems have ever managed to capture that same magic.
Exactly, it's like, the same way that Sega have like a specific kind of magic to their games and the same way Nintendo have a specific kind of magic to their games. I feel like, Japan Studio had that same kind of very distinctive flavour to their games.
Even when you play the Astro Bot games, they're so...
Oh yeah, you can feel it there as well. That's like their latest thing.
The closest examples to stuff that sort of matched would be stuff like Medieval or Fat Princess or Ratchet and Clank.
Yeah, I guess.
Not many people, especially not many Western developers, can really do what Japan Studio did. And I think they deserve a lot of credit to that, which they've never ever seemed to get. Maybe once with Ape Escape, just the first Ape Escape.
Even Ape Escape, I feel like that was by far their most popular franchise. But even that, Sony have just kind of dropped it on the wayside. Sony
didn't even want to publish the sequels in the West. Those instead went to Ubisoft, I think.
Yeah, I believe so. And like Ape Escape, that should be a franchise they're making games for now. I don't understand why the last one was like this PlayStation Move game that nobody played because it was like a...
And even that one was really good, but
it just got sent out to die. And for some reason, when people think of the PlayStation, Ape Escape is definitely one of the games people think of because it was one of the first good uses of the DualShock controller and the Rumble Pack and all that kind of stuff. And I feel like that series deserves a lot more credit than it gets for...
The only other time it reached those kind of heights was with the remake on the PSP.
I feel like that was the last time they even tried with that franchise, and after that, Sony was just.
I guess. I mean, that remake was done by Japan Studio.
Yeah. And when you start going into games they collaborated on, they also did the Ghost in the Shell game on the PlayStation,
which is also excellent.
Yeah, pretty much almost any Japanese developed like exclusive PlayStation game they probably had a hand in. It's
the Wild Arms games, pretty much all of them. They assisted with development.
That's my favorite RPG series, by the way.
Oh yeah, and they made the Eye of Judgment on PS3. Remember
that
one?
Yeah. The card,
I got that.
Augmented reality thing.
Yeah,
I wanted to get that just for the stand that you can put the camera on that goes directly downwards because I was using the PlayStation 3 camera to try and do stop motion animation. And I wanted to buy Eye of Judgment literally just to get that stand so it can look directly down at a table and try and do like animation tests with it. Because I did actually do a few like pencil tests for like animation I was working on with the PlayStation camera because it was just a really quick and easy app to try out stop motion before before I had like a proper smartphone and all that kind of stuff. So but I had to I couldn't position the camera directly down onto a table, so I had to prop the the paper up and stuff like that.
Oh,
but,
God. That was only lucky hit days.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, actually, funnily enough.
I had to do makeshift tripods all the time.
Yeah,
mainly by stacking games up.
Yep.
Oh, the good old days.
Still the current days sometimes.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, but pretty much. I would say probably the only game that you would look at this list of the games that they developed wholesale that you'd be like, would probably be Knack.
Yeah, they really dropped the ball with Knack, but even so,
it was a good concept. It was a good concept. I just don't think the execution was very
then
engaging.
You can see remnants of that magic that they're known for in Knack's design.
Oh yeah, the character concept was really clever, and like if it had that same appeal, and it just lacked the magic that their other games have. Stuff like Puppeteer. That as soon as you pick up the controller, you can feel the. I don't know how to describe it, but yeah. And of course, Tokyo Jungle. That's probably one of my all-time. That is actually in that might be in my top 20 all-time favorite games.
That is
another PS3 PlayStation Network classic, which doesn't get as much, which never got as much love as it deserved, even though that one actually had a physical release.
Yeah, it did in some territories.
Japan, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think there was like a collection with a couple other games that came out here. I think
there was a collection in North America. Best of PlayStation
we didn't get
Network.
that. We didn't get that.
Yeah. Best of PlayStation Network Volume 1, and unfortunately, there was never a Volume 2, like Sega Smash Pack on the Dreamcast.
Never put Volume 1 on anything. Never put Volume 1 on any game collection, because you'll never make a Volume 2. Remember Yu Suzuki GameWorks Volume 1?
Oh man, I didn't even know about that one. But yeah, this one had Tokyo Jungle, it had Fat Princess, and it had 2 other games that I don't remember. But I'm pretty sure Tokyo Jungle...
I for Tokyo Jungle. Honestly.
Yeah, Tokyo Jungle was the only Japan Studio game on there.
Yeah. Well, Tokyo Jungle is probably it's probably up there as one of my favorite like roguelite type games. It is kind of one of those anyway.
I mostly hate those type of games, but Tokyo Jungle is one of the few exceptions.
Yeah. So this is just our little pour one out for Studio Tokyo. It looks like they're going to live on in another guise, hopefully as like a multi-platform developer. They won't be tied to exclusively PlayStation from now on, like the guys that are setting up the new studio. And obviously the other guys are going to be working on the Astro games. That's clearly going to be a franchise going forward. It's pretty clear that's the intention there, which I'm fine with. Like that deserves to be a franchise. I feel like if they really go full hog and make a full-time platformer that isn't just like a miniature thing, they'll probably compete with Nintendo with that, I think.
Probably.
Yeah.
Although as great as Astro Bot is, I hope that's not the only thing they end up making for years and years.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I think that's why most of them have left.
With Lego games.
Yeah.
Even though
don't run it into the ground.
Yeah. If they have to make it for exclusively Astrobot for a little while just to get back on their feet, that's fine. But
as I say, most of them are going off to do their own studios, so I guess we'll see. A lot of the key figures. I think it's just the people that wanted to hang on to staying with PlayStation that are moving into Team Asobi. But I guess we'll soon see in the future what comes of their new studio and also future Astrobot games, I guess.
Well, I wish them luck, and let's all raise our glasses for Japan Studio.
Yeah, they were fantastic. Honestly, as far as I'm concerned, they are a massive part of what made PlayStation so cool in its early days.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. And they continue to just put out weird, cool ideas with unique games throughout their career. So
they did what they loved and what they were best at, and no one can knock them for that.
Yeah. Except Sony, apparently. Didn't make enough money.
Except for Sony.
We need more money. Didn't make millions. Let's close the studio that gave us lemons.
Yeah. And then let's shower The Last of Us 2 with awards that it doesn't deserve. I mean, it is worthy of awards, but you know.
No, I totally agree.
I kind of feel like PlayStation is the brand is almost going away from what I liked about PlayStation, and that was the quirky Japanese side of things. I feel like they're going very Western focused now. And
yeah, same here.
I get it why they're doing that, but I also don't really like it.
Yeah. More and more, I find myself going over to considering going over to Xbox, which is something that's never happened to me before. I mean, I'm slightly holding on for like Final Fantasy VII Remake and Ratchet and Clank, but Final Fantasy VII is probably going to be on like PC at some point in a few years.
Yeah.
And then Ratchet and Clank, that may even come to PC, since I think they're porting Days Gone to PC now.
That's the thing. PlayStation are actually starting to get into like doing more PC ports as well, which I'm also totally for, because the more people get to play the games they make, the better. Like, I don't see the issue with making their games available elsewhere. I'm cool with that with any studio, you know.
Yeah.
Long as they're decent ports.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah. And you know, when it comes to PC ports, even if they're bad ports, people can make them good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And of course, speaking of Days Gone, it's funny Sony shows so much support for Days Gone when absolutely nobody even remembers that game. You know, it doesn't help.
All I remember is it's that game they kept showing trailers for every year at E3 for like 4 years straight.
And then everyone
still don't care.
And then,
it wasn't
and then
even
everyone
that good.
gushes about it everyone gushes about it in the moment, and then they immediately forget it right after. I just remember it for that one trailer where that guy shouted, "Look around you, brother! You know how this is gonna end."
All I remember is just like the weird sea of zombies.
Yeah.
I remember it for...
Yeah.
And they all ran in like a line, like in Centipede or something. I just noticed that, and I was laughing the whole time.
Yeah. Right.
Not to mention that one time they showed a trailer where they had people hanging from like rope or something, and they actually moved during the jump scares.
Oh
in the trailer.
yeah.
Oh god, yeah, they were like when they did that really posh like theatre presentation. Oh god, that thing was so it was so pompous. My god, it was so pompous.
It really was.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like Sony's going arrogant again.
Yeah.
If you really want to play it on PC, though, who am I to stop you?
Yeah, exactly. I'm cool with them putting more stuff out on PlayStation, on PC. Like with any, like, you know, PC is a good place to put games because they can live forever there generally.
Yeah.
Even if it's thanks to fans more so than the actual developer. Once something's on the PC, you know, it's there for good. You can't like take it away with like, it's not compatible with the next console or whatever. But yeah, I think we should wrap up there. I think that was a good one. Yeah, It's been a while, but yeah,
it's been a while.
It has been a while. Yeah, I'm glad we decided to do one this week because, as I say, there was a lot to talk about. Yeah. So
I'm already one away from the big 100.
Ooh, yes.
Ooh.
Number 1. 3 digits. I'm going to have to edit this thumbnail considerably to fit it in.
And then we're going to die.
I'm going to have to spend...
Just like Mario.
You're going to take it away.
Yeah, everything will be deleted. I'm joking, it won't be.
That's assuming we even do the next podcast before April.
We'll see, I guess.
I think so.
Yeah, I think we should try to, because otherwise I know you're going to be very busy, in particular Murry Curry, by the end of this month, so we should probably try.
I'm already there, basically. It's already going crazy. I'm literally sitting here now, and I might have to show you a picture on the Discord or something. I'm just surrounded by boxes of stuff.
Yep, I know how that feels.
Yeah.
This is why we're moving, because the place is too small, and during the packing process, it's making it worse.
Hey, if you need that extra space, man, you go for it.
Yeah, we got to really. We have the extra baby. It's just impossible now.
Yeah.
There we go. I'm going to take a pic now.
Fair enough. Right, so that was the 99th Lucky Hit podcast. I've been AnimatedAF.
I've been CherryT.
I'd be Murry Curry.
I've been HunkThunder.
And I've been Elk. And in all seriousness, private internet access really is a good VPN.
And I've been... And he's 25.
Oh, it's Pikachu. He's actually here.
He sure is. Yeah.
Now we just need to get Sonic back again.
Oh, yeah.
One day.
Right, so we'll see you guys later on, I guess. Bye.
Yay, you enjoy yourselves. Also, happy 4th birthday, Nintendo Switch, as of Wednesday.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I did not know that. Wow. Okay.
Oh,
It is very quickly becoming one of my all-time favorite consoles. I'll just say that.
I'm shocked it's been 4 years already. Where's the time?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's wild. Might be time to make an upgrade that runs the games a little bit better. Nintendo.
It ain't happening.
In time for that. In time for that new Pokemon game that runs like crap, and in time for that new sequel to Breath of the Wild, and in time for whatever the next big Mario thing is, because even Bowser's Fury just barely manages to work on the Switch.
I'm really interested in seeing where they go from here.
Yeah. Alright. We'll be off then. See you later.
Bye.
Good night, everybody.